Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Boom. Shout out to Squeaky Earth. Yo, 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 yo. Pee-pee me. Pee-pee me. Farmer's boy did. He pee-peed me. Whee! Oh yeah.
Are we resorting to comedy hour now? Obviously. Gravity. La La Land is reserved for special people that double speak, that say open is closed, closed is open. La La Land, we are in La La Land. Gravity. Obviously. La La Land, La La Land, La La Land, we are in La La Land. Gravity, gravity, obviously.
Are you ready? Call your mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
Shit. Oh shit. Boom. Oh, hail to the yeah. This is Jose JG, and you are in the YouTube universe. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Top of the show on a Friday festivities. Today is the 7th of October 2022. Happy, thrilled, and excited to be here in this corner on the YouTube, in this neighborhood. I'm not angry. This is just my face. I don't look angry today. I look happy today. Yeah, that is because we got Squeaky Earth. Look, I set it up, Squeaky Earth, just for you. Shout out to the lazy-eyed frog, right? We got another frog in here. Oh, we got another frog in here. Mama frog. What baby frog? Oh, baby frog right there. See him? Hey, yo, what up? Hey, I'm right here. Yo. Okay. You good? You okay? Let's do the squeaky. I don't know because these legs are tangling. His legs are tangling and the bar. So we need to check this. This is the most important thing that I had done today. Nothing more dangling. Maybe this arm. Okay, let's see if you can hear that. Stretch this. There you go. Squeaky Earth, do your job. All for this. I'm like, it's confusing because there you go. Oh, I was gonna say, what if he smacks me in the face? Squeaky Earth is hard work, man. This is solid metal and rusty, and it's like a solid boss. All right, let's leave the frogs in there. I don't need to see. I don't need to see. I don't need to see now. Green hearts. What the hell? All right. Boom. Shout out to Farmer's Boy. Farmer's Boy gave me a decent donation on PayPal. Farmer's Boy, thank you very much for your support, brother. Really appreciate it. Very handsome boom in the pee. Shout out to Farmer's Boy. Yeah, it's for a token of appreciation. Dude, I appreciate you coming in here. We also have in the house Devil's Advocate and Citizen 9 and Justin Franks and RT96. Also Mark. Ding! Not too sharp today, but I'm okay. Carl Christopherson. Patty O. Furniture. Shike. Shike. Fred Bailey. Peter G. On. Whoop whoop. Truth Nerds. How about that? Oh, shout out to the Stingray! Stingray, you know what? There's Stingray. I never, actually, I tried eating Stingray once, but I heard a rumor earlier say if you catch a Stingray, when you cut it like the wings, just in order to take the skin out, you have to boil it in water and put a lot of salt. So I did that, right? I cut the wings. It was a decent size Stingray. And I cut the wings and I threw him. I put him in the pot boiling, but I put a shitload of salt, like a shitload. And I left it as I started boiling. All right, I leave it like 10 minutes. When I came back, it was like a mush of just the skin in the side, and it was like separating, like coming out this way, and a little piece of skin holding it. So I tried to pull it, and it was a mess. I couldn't eat fucking stingray. Mr. Malort is being a member for 8 months. Shout out to Mr. Malort. Thank you very much, man, for your support. Hello, fitness friends. Fitness friends. Dude, I got a belly. I got a big belly, man. I need to get me into exercises. Shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you for being a supporter of the channel for so long. Well, I'm about to open the your ass in the ocean. We will Steve Irwin your ass in the ocean next time, says Stingray. Woo. That's scary. That's not good. That's not good. Smoke here. No good. I respect them. I freak out by stingrays. I caught one in a fishing pole once. A decent fishing pole, 50-pound testing. It wasn't the best line, but I caught, bro, it was pulling, and I tightened it up, but not completely because it will snap. So even though it was too strong, like if I tried to pull the line myself, I couldn't do it. The stinger was pulling until I got it. I didn't know it was a stingray. And I brought it to the shore, and it was gigantic, a monster stingray. And I said, like, holy shit! It was like where I was standing, it was like 2 feet down to the water, a little side of a bridge. And I like, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna try to bring it up on over, like, and then try to get the hook out from far away with a stick, hold the tail, and come with my little grabby tool and try to get the hook out, bro. When I tried to pull it up, whoa, it was coming up like join, and snap. Poof, it took off. It was good. Good times. I don't know where they come from. The stingray inspired me to do a story. Back in the day. All right, let's see what we got here. If I click this. This is something is wrong here. Hold on. Something is very wrong. I put a browser somewhere. I don't even know where I left it. Fuck, what was it for? Oh, okay. Let me see this fix it. No. How shitty that this looks. Why does it look so shitty? I'm sorry, guys. Something went terribly wrong. What the fuck? You know what? Let's do this. Let me see if this will fix it. Oh, this is horrible. What is this little box? Alert box. All right, so if I take the alert box out, what is this? Why is that showing with something went terribly wrong? It is bullshit. This is bullshit. How you doing, guys? I'm about to open the Discord server. We are in the Daily Boom. And you can come over to the YouTube Live and you can hang out with us over here. And we will be live on YouTube. So you can take the opportunity to speak your piece. A handful of people will be listening live, but depends on what you say, what you present, what you have for the audience. All the show will be shared because I expect now some people over here to start sharing the show and hitting the like and all the good stuff. Let's open it up. I have a rocket launch video that just took place right before I went live. I was recommended something there, and I got it open over here, and I want to see what we have. But first, let's say shout out to Farmer's Boy.
Hey.
Thank you, brother, for your support, man. I appreciate it.
No worries. I saw your prompt and I thought, yeah, all right, why not? I'll do it now whilst I remember.
Big time. Thank you, brother. Yeah.
That's all right, mate. Do appreciate the service that you provide.
Sweet, man. Cool. Carl Christopherson. Carl, what's up, man? You here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you hit the like button? Did you hit the like button on YouTube?
Can't remember, but I'm going in to do it now.
Excellent. And everybody also should watching and listening. Just go ahead and hit the like. Chike is in the house. Chike, did you share the show?
No, but I hit the like.
Okay, that's fair, but you might be in some Discord servers that you can grab a link of my live, you to like copy it, and then just go in the other server and say, okay, I don't know, just throw the link in there, paste it, and run.
In Blue's server?
I already put it in all those places in the video share area. So good, all right? We all got audio. Excellent. It's working out. It looks shitty. The whatever you see on YouTube, whatever the layout, what you're seeing, it looks shitty, guys. So
yeah, what's happened there?
I don't know, man. Dude, I had it looking crisp right before the show. Fucking hell.
It looks a bit dodgy now. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you've done there.
This bottom left, I don't know what the fuck is this. Oh, okay. Let me press it.
Something went terribly wrong. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, that's looking a little better now. The participants, I gotta put them. All right, I'm gonna put them right here. You know what? We're not looking that bad now. We're looking at it.
That's better.
Yeah, we're looking at it. All right, and the chat box. Let me see what's up with the chat box. It should come up. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it has an issue loading YouTube. Something.
That must be what the problem is. It keeps telling you about then.
There you go. Yeah, it's Streamlabs problem. So we're all right.
Well, I've just looked out my window. I can see the moon and I can see Jupiter. I wonder if I can get a photo of it.
Jupiter. Is Jupiter the one that does faces like has faces like the moon?
No, that's more Venus.
Okay. And it's seen from Earth sometimes, right? I mean, like I can.
Oh, there's too much light in here, and there's a window in the way. And yeah. No, the flash worked. Bollocks. That'll be a fucking awful fight, I think.
There's the chat box. Hell yeah. It just showed us you. And I'm adjusting the participants small in somewhere in here. But the chat box showed up. So I think that it's going to be working out just okay.
Right, Truth Nerds has asked for an out of focus P900 image. I can't do out of focus, but I can do my curtains reflected in the window. There you are. It's in the Daily Boom Uncensored.
Nice.
I find that's a similar effect.
Sweetness. Isn't that playing like just dragging a plane or something going, but it just stayed there top of me. Just bugging me, just dragging to what's up with the audio of the show, you know? Motherfucker. All right, this is if you click on my screen share, Rocket Lab Electron 31 launch from the launch pad.
Okay.
Launch site LC-1B, Mahia Peninsula, New Zealand.
Oh, yes.
Electron rocket. That's the information we have. Let's take a little look at this, Andy. I think this is
there should be no
kind of when they're going to launch
near
now.
Critical LCCs. VCon.
Or lower the
LD
volume to half.
LD VCon.
Confirm all expected flight computer as.
Yeah, I didn't know about
Confirm
this.
as goes,
I mean,
Lock
when I
auto
was opening
sequencing
YouTube,
confirmed.
the
Confirm
main
auto
page,
sequence is
like
locked.
watch live now, and it was an actual live launch.
KL station
I didn't
cleared.
see it. I
Rotor
caught it
start
right at
T
the
minus
end.
2 minutes. LD is
And then I just scroll back and I say, all right, haven't launched here. Let me pause
go
it.
for launch.
Confirm, go for launch.
Here we go.
Oh, I see SpaceX have got another launch coming up. When is that?
Wait, what's going on here? Is it going to launch or not?
Yeah, if you look at the clock at the top left there, it's still got a minute to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try to full screen this motherfucker for everybody. All right, I'll fix it up. I'm gonna click here. And
Stage 1, stage 2, press for flight.
there you go, full screen for everybody. It's not the best quality, but it's good enough.
High flow engine purge enabled.
I hope, and shout out to the people from this channel. I hope they don't copyright strike me.
Well,
Deluge activated.
I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of a, well. Well, all the
That's
shout outs are on the screen. Whatever is written in the corners and the logos, that belongs to them, you know.
exactly. Yes.
I'm just sharing the stuff, so go find them and look at the original stuff, you know. I'll share a link shortly. YouTube.
10, 9, 8, 7,
Uh-oh.
6,
Is it going to be
5,
loud?
4, 3,
Ignition.
2, 1.
Whoosh. Oh, that must be fake. They changed cameras.
Yeah. Let's go there.
Stage 1 proportional, nominal.
Yeah, they are not here, you know, to do this for the public, you know, for the audience. They're doing their own shit and installing
Of
the
course.
camera so they can see what they need to see, you know. What they need to keep track of. That's it. They have to show shit to us, you know.
T plus 38 seconds and our 31st Electron has lifted off from the pad at Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1. Electron is powering its way to
The very
orbit with
first.
General Atomics. The next milestone after liftoff is max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is the moment during launch when the forces on Electron are at their peak, causing the most amount of stress on the rocket. Let's listen in for the call from Mission Control that Electron has cleared through max Q.
Right, let me skip
Clear,
forward
max
a
Q.
bit. That's it. Oh no, that's the volume.
HP battery discharge nominal.
Max Q and kilometers relatively
Oh,
quick.
oh,
this
it's
attitude,
growing. You
Electron
see,
has
as I
successfully
skip every 5 seconds, look at this. Look at the fire.
completely
Damn, how cool it is like that.
Yeah, you can see as it gets higher, the air pressure gets
Yeah.
lower, and it all
Yeah.
spreads out. It is quite a cool effect, isn't it?
Hell yeah. It's like a
15
flower.
seconds to Miko.
5 seconds. The skipping make it look more drastic and more visual, you know. Like
See, look, there's
stunning. Nice.
Why everyone copy SpaceX? They can't make something else different from Max Q?
No, this look cool. This is cool. Look at the way it looks. I'm gonna try to find the fake in this video, right?
I think the fake was on the stand. Did you see all the stuff that came out of the rocket?
Yeah.
You don't see it from
And with
coming
the
out
nozzle
of real
extension on the
rocket.
That's
stage
not
two,
common, right?
rocket engine glowing, we've had successful MECO separation.
And I hate to say it, but
Now
it
that
was
we've
Max
passed
Q
through
way
the
before
harshest part of
SpaceX
Earth's
existed.
atmosphere, we no longer need to protect
Do
the
these
payload,
people
so we can inject the
do they
pheromone
have
to save
like
some mass.
rodents,
Let's
rats
keep
and
an eye on your
stuff?
screens to catch a glimpse.
I don't think we're going to see the right part of it where you would see the so-called rats.
So they might have also rats and
Yeah,
squirrels,
and we
but not
can't
sharing. Yeah.
we can't see that part of the rocket engine.
Right,
So
right.
no, that could well be.
The vehicle is currently at over
It's also a
120
different
kilometers
engine.
of altitude,
Of course.
reaching speeds of more than 8,500 kilometers per hour.
Notch it up a gear, let the handbrake off, that'll go for it.
What do you think, farmers, about this layout they got on screen right there?
I like the layout. I mean, you know, you've got the camera image, you've got some information, you've got a nice little graphic there. That's pretty cool. That's a nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice presentation.
Everything is looking great at the start of our stage 2 burn. That nozzle extension is glowing red hot as
Looking
electron
clean,
powers
yep.
through space at
Yeah.
over 9,000 kilometers per hour. You'll see
Color
on the right
coded
of
the
your screen as
temperature.
propellant levels deplete slowly, with about 76% of liquid oxygen and 75% of RP1 kerosene remaining.
That's it. Is it gonna separate anything else anymore?
I don't know. I don't know what is.
All right,
What
let's
his
see how
payload is.
this look. Skipping forward 5 seconds at a time. Look at the background.
And enable media to
Huh? The rotation is giving it.
Oh yeah,
or at the same time,
nice curvature there.
is bad. Yeah, altitude remaining, engine
Go.
so
Yeah, applaud.
down and stage
Just applaud,
engine
guys.
mentioned full stage failure to take place. in
Oh,
about
there you go. That's the real Earth
55
right there.
minutes.
There's no Earth.
Back here soon.
Earth is fake. Earth is this is it. Nah, what is this right here? This ain't Earth. Why are they looking at this?
It's a map of Earth. It's a projection of Earth.
But Earth don't look like this.
No, it doesn't. But if you showed a globe, then half the time you wouldn't be able to see where the rocket was because it'd be on the other side. That's why when you look at all the old footage of NASA doing the moon shots, they had a version of this up on the wall, and the orbit of the spacecraft would look like it's looping up and down across the map because you've obviously flattened a sphere and then sort of stretched it round so you can see all of it in one go. It's a projection.
Truth nerds say it's fisheye CGI. What you gotta say about that?
But, there is a name for that projection, but I can't remember what it is.
Is it the Mercator projection?
Is it the Mercator? I can't remember. There's so many different projections, aren't there? It could be the Mercator. I can't remember, but yeah, they do that so you can see the orbital track all in one go, because otherwise it would go around the sphere and then disappear around the other side, and you couldn't see what it was doing.
I don't know, man. This doesn't look like Earth to me.
And you'll notice that, bearing in mind where this rocket just launched from, what's in the middle of the map?
The sea.
Yeah. Well, roughly where your cursor was, just to the right of Australia, is this pair of little islands called New Zealand. That's where the rocket just launched from. So you'll notice that the map isn't it wasn't centered on I don't know, North America.
But look, there's circle here also. Circle, circle, circle. Well, this one, yeah. But circles, circles.
I don't know what they're showing with it. Because I don't know what it was launching.
And they left that map up for like an hour.
Because that SpaceX launch that went the other day that was taking crew members up, they had specific areas over the Atlantic and actually over Ireland in case there was a problem and they had to do an emergency touchdown. But I don't know what those circles are for.
All right. Shout out to Bevo. Earth is live. How you doing, man? How is it going in your new area, place?
It's going pretty good. I still don't have any of my furniture, so still waiting on that stuff.
Right.
Other than that, everything is going pretty good.
You know when it will catch up with you when you move again.
Yeah, it'll get here a few days before I gotta ship out to Korea. No, that's what we're trying to. That's what I don't want to happen because there's a lot of things I have to put together.
You can see it coming, can't you?
Yeah.
It'll all turn up just before you go.
Yeah, like I gotta put together. My daughters have like a swing set for the backyard.
Yeah.
I got furniture and bunk beds and stuff to put together, so I don't want to leave my wife here by herself to put that stuff together. So, kind of hoping it gets here soon enough.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Cool, man. Cool. I'm happy that you guys are okay over there.
Yeah. Well, how are you doing after the hurricane?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. It didn't affect me. It didn't affect my area over here. It knocked down a few little branches and trees, a little bit of gust of winds, but it wasn't any flooding and it wasn't hurricane, powerful winds. It was just some gusts on and off. So yeah, we made it through. We hunkered down in the house and we ride it up,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't that bad for you, it must not have been. Well, it wasn't that bad for my dad either. He said he was doing pretty good. He's not too far from you.
Okay, because C4, I haven't spoken with him, but I think he flooded. He got flooded, but he was in Fort Lauderdale. That's
farther north.
Yeah, ground zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, shout out to all of those affected and not.
Yeah.
Nestle Wipes, what's up, man? All right. And Dan the Waterman is here. Dan the Waterman, resurrected from the dead.
I missed you the other day.
What's up, Dan? How's it going?
I was sitting on Gem, couldn't deal with Pete Shea and listening to that crap.
Oh,
Pete Shea, my boy.
Oh, I'm getting hassled from all sides, so now I'm getting associated with everyone's worst enemy. It's like there's no safe spot.
That should tell you something.
Oh, when you think that the Earth is flat, we kind of lump you all you guys together, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's understandable. It's just a bummer, but it's totally understandable. I group all the religious people together, and they don't belong in one spot.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how I learned that. I'm like, oh, they're not all the same, and it's like, ooh, we're not all the same. It was like a difficult moment, real difficult.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry.
Nothing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that sometimes there are glimmers of hope. Like I do remember Pete Shea saying something before about him kind of believing the Earth was a globe, but only because of certain parameters or something like that. I don't know. And then I remember not too long ago, I'm actually working on a video with Jeremy was arguing for the globe because of the Pythagorean theorem. So be on the lookout for that. I'm putting out a video showcasing our friend Jeremy over there on Geo. Shout out to Jeremy.
Good, man. Good stuff. Where So is that it? That's the only place you go around to gyms? Then
No. It's just that I avoid the echo chamber aspect of it, and it seems like no matter what you get into, someone picks apart a word and it goes off on that word, and it's not refraction, it's diffraction, and next thing you know, they're giving examples of everything they know. And in the case of refraction, it's like been grouped together as the one thing, and it's refraction is a thing, but the obstructions we see include everything from weather to temperature, which is totally different than actual refraction. So I'm trying to isolate the one from the other so I can really kind of call you guys out on what refraction is versus the others.
I'm so tired of the whole refraction argument. I stay away from it. I mean, we all know refract. Go ahead.
You gotta go after it. You gotta go after it. You gotta have them produce the math.
But I mean, we know refraction happens, and we know why it happens. So there's other things that are so much more definitive than trying to argue about how light bends through the atmosphere.
I got one example. Then I heard a lot of flat earthers like bragging rights that they know the Pythagorean theorem, and they also very loosely talk about quantum behaviors, dynamics, and physics and shit like that. What do you think? Do you know the Pythagorean theorem?
Isn't that
Pythagorean theorem?
7/6R thing that we use?
No, but that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Do you know who Jeremy is? Jeremy from G. He hung out in G.
I hear him. Yeah, I hear him all the time.
Yeah, he said he understands the Pythagorean theorem.
Send him to Bev. Anyone that's got an idea if there's math, they got to go through Bev's language fucking maze first.
No, Bev doesn't use math. I wouldn't even.
It's just language maze, though. It's a language maze.
Yes, but Bev doesn't touch numbers. He doesn't use maths
at all.
Because he doesn't understand it. But it's easy for him to play silly word games.
How about quantum? What do you know about quantum physics? Then tell us all about it.
Zeros.
I think it's mostly crap. Mostly a lot of crap.
But what do you know about it? What is it? What is quantum physics?
Does that include the double slit experiment?
I don't know what that is. I'll ask you. Like I don't know nothing. I know the term, but I don't know what it is. What includes? What is involved in it?
Jose is quantum illiterate.
Yeah, I'm quantum illiterate. Thank you, Farmer.
That's all right.
Me too. But as an example, I made up sort of a joke. See, the double slit experiment suggests a whole bunch of things. Does the observer affect an observation? Is part of it, and that's like kind of magical. So I was trying to set up an example of that, what I called the double slit pie experiment. For instance, if I hit you with a pie, it's not funny to you, but it might be funny to the other people. So does comedy have the same two properties that light might, where it can be perceived one way or another depending on the observer? So
I have no fucking idea what you just said. I was zoned out, man. I'm sorry.
That was actually pretty deep, Dan.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, on one side I wasn't saying much, the other side I was. So Jose was actually with me on that because it was just really an example of perception and how people see things from the other side and what's funny. For instance, funny is always funny because it happens to someone else. That's that's funny. It's not funny if it happens. So humor is usually directed sort of cruelly at someone in particular. So same thing if they're saying that a scientific observer, that the observer's part of the experiment, that's like saying, well, the joke works on you, but it doesn't work on you.
Dan, do you think that one who argues about physics and measurements and all the shit that we talk about, right? Observations and shit. Do you think we need to have at least the basics of math? Like at least to a certain level,
No, I think math is on paper. I think we need more logic. For instance, everyone yells at me to come up with math. And I'm like, gee, I don't need it. I have line of sight. There's no math involved. but they don't get that. I get hassled all the time for math. And I'm like, gosh, I'm producing observations that don't really call for mathematics.
Let me ask Dr. Bob, same question. Do you think one who argues about these topics need to know at least the basics of math and know a little bit of it?
Oh, yeah.
So you're in the total opposite of Dan. Dan thinks it's just your mind, your logic, your senses, and all the good stuff. You say math needs to be involved in math.
Well, the people that generally talk about logic and definitions understand neither.
Oh, shots fired.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
We have a smartphone. We can, we don't need to be as bright as we used to be in terms of knowledge. We can look it up. I'm all obsessed with the word quadratic right now, and I'm still trying to gather it, because it's been used, and I'm stuck having to understand some of the words, especially if I'm going to use them.
Dan, I've got a quick question for you, because you said you don't believe in quantum physics. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit low body
Pretty
on
much not.
single.
How you doing, dude? Pretty much
I got
not.
Okay, so if you were to look up something like the quantum tunneling effect, you'd say that just doesn't exist, right?
Just the term quantum is an obsession for us to quantify things we don't understand.
It actually isn't. But just let's take one example of like quantum tunneling within the realm of quantum physics. Not the quantification of something, but the sub-microscopic, the incredibly small, the quantum world, and the quantum tunneling effect. That's utter bullshit, right?
It sounds like it.
Cool. And you just said you got a smartphone, right?
Sure.
Cool. Don't ever use the capacitive touchscreen again.
Well, why don't you elaborate?
It relies on the thing that's magic and bullshit and made up, so just don't use it.
There's a quantum relationship between my finger and my phone?
That is exactly correct, Mr.
Oh shit! I want to hear about this. I want to want to know all of it. What the distance? A millimeter away? 1/8 of an inch? What the distance? where this reaction happens between the finger and the screen?
Yeah,
I guess
based
he's
on the
gonna
quantum
eventually
tunneling
say it
effect,
doesn't.
and a
It
further
doesn't.
technology based on quantum tunneling increased our ability to even depth sense as well on capacitive touch screens. Previously, we had resistive touch screens, but capacitive, in other words, the spontaneous tunneling effect and exchange of charge over distance bursting in and out of existence is what makes your phone screen work, Dan.
Wow, thanks for explaining that.
There
So
you
I
go.
don't need to touch it. I can just sort of pretend I'm touching it because I'm not
Actually,
touching.
wait a minute.
For instance, if I put you in a raincoat and gave you a hug, am I still touching you? Is
But
this
that's
a quantum? Am I
from a
quantum
physics
hugging you?
sense,
Is
from a
this
quantum physics sense, you can't actually touch anything. But you did say something quite intelligent there. You said you don't need to touch it. You actually do not. You need to get in proximity where the tunneling effect has an effect. And that's correct. You're not actually touching the capacitive layer on a touchscreen. You're touching either two layers separated from that. And guess what? Even if you hover 1/10 of a millimeter above the screen, not physically touching it, you will still register touches because of this effect.
Mm-hmm. Tunneling is a strange word because they also start using the word a potential barrier. So, for instance, the glass isn't considered a barrier, it's considered a potential barrier.
Correct, yes. And the tunneling is just, it's out of the observable measurable. That's what they mean by tunneling in that sense.
Sounds like horseshit. Don't spend too much time on it.
Honestly, it sounds like horseshit, but it's incredibly demonstrable and usable, and everybody uses it. So it's pretty useful horseshit, right?
If you can use it to find me the horizon, let me know. That's my I'm banking on the horizon.
Oh man.
Hey, I got a cool science question for you, Dan. You
There you
game?
go.
Really?
All right. Let's guys.
I thought you
Let's
come here to be funny. So
yeah.
like,
Let's allow
sure,
Dr. Bob. Let's allow Dr. Bob and Dan to have a
you
word
sure
for a
it's
few
not
minutes.
a comedy question? How do I
Uh,
know it's not a comedy question?
Dan, let me tell you when you let's get Bob the first opportunity to ask whenever if you want to answer and ask a question and then you gotta mute yourself so we don't keep interrupting in between the sentences. Bob, go ahead, man.
Well, it's a real simple question. Do you know how a straw works? So if I put a straw in a glass of apple juice and use the straw to get apple juice into my mouth, is that apple juice pulled into my mouth or is it pushed into my mouth?
I suppose we could say it's been quantumly tunneled at this point until you explain otherwise.
I'll just wait for you to answer from one of the two options I gave
Okay.
you.
We were talking about quantum tunneling. You switched to either vacuum or suction so we could explain the lifting of the liquid and the action of the vacuum that created lift. But you're not telling me why you're talking.
I asked you a simple question: is the apple juice pulled into my mouth or pushed into my mouth?
See, negative pressure. I don't know. It's negative pressure.
I say pull. I say pull because you're doing an action pulling whatever you want to come towards you. That's the pull thing right there. You agree then?
I don't know. It's probably the material below it pushing, but either way, it really, I don't know. We could argue push and pull about a lot of things.
Well,
But you're leading the dance, so you go ahead and lead.
okay. Well, I maintain that it is pushed into my mouth because what happens is the surface of the apple juice is under atmospheric pressure, and I lower the pressure in my mouth below atmospheric pressure, and as a result, the atmosphere presses down on the apple juice and it comes up the straw towards the lower
liquid
pressure.
rised. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's what I said. To begin
Okay,
with.
great. Now you know about water. How high can a suction pump pull water?
We're done with quantum. Like my mind's waiting for this to relate to quantum. But okay, so water's measured in feet height or something interesting when you go to buy fountain stuff.
Okay, so if I have a suction pump, one that creates a vacuum, how high can that pull up water?
Little guy under $40, about 6 feet.
What's the maximum?
There is no such.
So I can go a 10-story building and do this then from a 10-story building high or higher maybe or lower.
Yeah, can you apply a vacuum to the top of a pipe on the roof of a 10-story building and suck water up from the pool at the outside the lobby?
I like this example because I can visualize it too, and it helps me to try to figure shit out. So then, go ahead, man. Well, I'll ask you. Of course you can. You say right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well you can't pull water more than 33 feet high with a suction
Know
pump.
that. Is that due to its actual mass?
It's due to the mass of the water versus the amount of pressure pulling it up.
So what
It's
would
the
happen?
same principle that a mercury barometer works on.
Would you crush the pipe first? What would happen if you applied too much pressure for
It would
drawing
stop
up?
coming up any further than that.
Yeah.
It would then vary slightly based on atmospheric pressure. But the water would only go up 33 feet. You can't suck it up any higher than that by creating a vacuum. So the bottom line is, even though you have a vacuum on one end of that pipe,
Wait, let's analyze
atmosphere-
this. Let's analyze this.
Yeah.
That
Let
was because
them.
of the sheer weight of the volume of material that you're bringing up. So
well,
that was
before we do that, let's take the logical step. Do you agree that a vacuum does not simply suck everything that's under pressure up to it? So, for example, no matter how much suction you put on a 40-foot pipe, you can't suck water up past 33 feet, even though there's a full vacuum above it. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure which variable you changed. I'm still sucking on a pipe. I can't achieve 33 feet, but what's above it? Another
A
vacuum?
full vacuum. A full vacuum.
Oh, in other words, would it draw upon it?
Yeah. I mean, could it draw it up any higher than 33 feet?
I would have supposed so, but I was still trying to analyze what my limit at 33 feet was from. Now I'm going to guess it's sheer volume of weight. So I'm wondering now,
it's the mass of the water.
Right. So couldn't you
mass
just
of the water and the gravity pulls down, the vacuum is trying to go up into the vacuum. However, gravity is pulling it back down, and it balances at 33 feet.
Impellers and pumps don't have this problem, correct?
No, because you're pumping from below.
Okay. So theoretically, I'm picturing you standing on top of a building with your mouth over the thing and your head all red and puffed up, and you're looking at me going, see, I can't do it. I see I can't do it. Now you're introducing a vacuum above you. See, I'm in a vacuum and I still can't do it. Okay, I'm with you.
All right, so the top part of the pipe above 33 feet can be a full vacuum and it still won't draw up water any further.
Cool.
Because the mass of the water is being pulled downward. As much as the atmosphere is pushing it up, the mass of the water is being pulled downward by gravity.
So
and it levels out at about 33 feet.
Standard drinking wells have had this problem forever. They use pumps.
Yeah, and they can't be more than 33 feet deep and use a suction pump. If you go deeper than that, you have to have an in-ground pump that pushes it up.
Right, which they do. They
Right.
they make them out of leather.
But
and
we're
shit.
not talking about an impeller pump. We're talking about a vacuum pump, a suction
we
pump.
were talking about phones last I recall.
Okay, well, we're talking about a suction pump. So if I create a pipe with a full vacuum in it and stick the end of it in water and take off the cap, water will go up the pipe and it'll stop at 33 feet because it can't go any higher, because it can't be pushed any higher into that vacuum by atmospheric pressure.
If you continue to rely upon a vacuum, correct. Now tell me what you're talking about.
Great. So you understand that objects that have mass, even if they're next to a vacuum, can only go so high in the face of gravity.
Now we're introducing gravity there, Dan. What do you think?
I'm not sure of that deduction. I'll have to think about that. Could you?
Now, this is the first time that gravity was introduced into it. It was mentioned earlier, but now, yeah.
No, it was there. It caused the weight, the mass plus the
Yeah,
gravity
true.
made the weight of the water. It was there.
Correct. Absolutely, Dan. Absolutely.
So, when you're not being a dick, you're fun to talk to. I just want you to know that.
Yeah. Let's keep it going. Yeah,
Never
keep it
a
going.
dick. I'm always nice.
Keep it going, man.
So here's the problem that you run into, Dan, is you just verified in no uncertain terms that the mass of the atmosphere can only go so high against gravity into the vacuum of space because it can only be pushed so high. Something
is there
is
only
pulling
one
it back.
pressure? Is there only one pressure vacuum? In other words, with the same vacuum, we could create at sea level or on top of your building or on top of the well. If we're relying upon vacuum, is there only one force? In other words, now we're looking at space, not a pipe. And
yeah. So let's have a pipe that's 200 miles high. We'll agree that is the end of that pipe is well above the Kármán line. Now we open up the pipe at sea level. How high will the air go in the pipe?
according to its original state, it shouldn't have changed. You're telling me that regardless of the vacuum, I'm still trying to achieve its state on Earth. So
correct. Because you have gravity affecting the mass of the atmosphere, and as a result, that's holding it back against the vacuum, and the air will only go up as high as the atmosphere goes.
So you want me to look at a large body of water now, and you want to tell me there's no reason for it to float off into space?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. We're talking about pulling water up through a pipe into a vacuum. And now we're talking about pulling air up through a pipe.
We were talking about quantum tunneling, so I'm confused why you're talking.
And now we're talking about pulling the mass of air.
The properties of a vacuum. Okay.
Now we're talking about pulling air up into a vacuum. And as gravity is pulling the air down, as much as the air is trying to push into the vacuum, there'll be a balance point where it stops rising.
Help me out. Water is called hydraulic pressure when they do that. And what do they call it?
It has to do with mass. It has nothing to do with hydraulic pressure or anything like that.
They have different things. Like there's different fluids and different pressures. So my question to you is, what I know what hydraulic pressure it is. That's fluid pressure.
Right.
What are you
So-
talking about when you're considering an air pressure? What is it called? What's the layman?
Well, let's see. Considering the atmosphere can be modeled as a fluid, I don't have any issue or distinction between the two. We have gas in the pipe trying to expand upward into the vacuum, and it's being pulled back by gravity. And as a result, the air level in the pipe will just go up and be the air pressure inside the pipe will be the same as it is outside the pipe as you go up.
Okay.
And when you get up to the vacuum of space, there'll be a vacuum at the end of the pipe.
Okay, so different fluids may have different densities and different heights, but there's just going to be a restriction based on weight. You're saying we couldn't produce enough suction to make something rise into the air, or to go at any point for any reason. So explain to me what I'm supposed to get out of that, because
that's how you get air. That's how you get air pressure without a container, because you have work being performed on the mass of the atmosphere by gravity. It's being pulled down by gravity as much as it's trying to push into the vacuum.
Give Dan a break there. But
trying to picture what you're saying now. You're saying
let
that
it rumble for a bit.
weight of the atmosphere is keeping the atmosphere in.
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to think about that. It sounds circular, but yeah, we would really have to start to understand mass. For instance, my friend's a balloonist, and even though they look lighter than air, they contain a shitload of mass when they hit a building. It's amazing. It can be light in the air, but be full of mass. So I'd have to really discuss mass with you. Because
let me know when you want to.
It's curiously the same on Earth based on the theory of gravity. So
I just wanted to put this air pressure next to a container issue to bed. So thanks for helping me with that.
You think it put it to bed? Oh, well, I certainly put it on the table. When I sleep with it, I'll let you know. Didn't really bringing it up isn't exactly, but I appreciate your help.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Yeah, good talks.
Not bad.
We didn't get anywhere, but it was a good, decent back and forth. But then you needed to learn about this because you're the waterman, and you don't know about the pressure, about the pulling, about the height of the water with the pump and vacuum. You needed to learn about this stuff.
Well, actually, the word pump makes a difference. So I'm the one that mentioned pump because he's relying upon a vacuum. So my question in real life would be, is there anything that could make the effect of a pump? What is a pump in nature would be the question.
I think I specified a suction pump.
Suction, as opposed to pumping upward. You were sucking from the, instead of pushing from the bottom, you're sucking from above. So yeah, we decided that pumps would work. So I'm asking what would make a natural pump. For instance, in the case of water, you'd have what they call primary water, which pumps its way up from the earth due to pressure or heat or steam. So there are natural pumps in nature. So I'm just trying to be logical about it. If I'm trying to look for an action or reaction, and you're saying that suction and vacuum isn't enough, clearly I got to run to the other side and look for something that could act as a pump. Thermal energy out of logic could do so. And things rise due to heat. Things rise when they thin out, I think, like heliums, hydrogens, I think are lighter.
Let me ask you a simple question then. What is a pump? A suction pump. What is a suction pump? Describe it to me. For you.
I'm not sure. They have
the mechanism. What's the mechanism?
It's a screw. It's generally a screw. It's in terms of basic machines. You're basically turning a screw, and it follows an inclined plane with an entrance and an exit. How'd I do, Bob? Dial me up, teacher man.
No, it's not really how modern pumps are designed.
Suction pump.
They have impellers, you know. And most pumping systems these days rely on positive displacement, so you're forcing the water out rather than trying to suck it through.
Or fish tanks or diaphragm pumps, like your heart.
Yeah, I don't work on anything that small.
So, if you work with pumps, what do you think of my backwards logic trying to find what might make a pump if we can't rely upon suction? In other words, is there pressure from below is really all I need to ask, Jose.
What do you mean from below?
Bob's relying upon pressure from above, and I'm saying, well, gee, there only has to be pressure from below. So
Below
I think
what?
I fucking nailed that and logically without having to know anything.
Below what? What are you on about?
Well, Bob was wanted me to know, in terms of the atmosphere, what might retain, the atmosphere or not. That's what we.
Well, that's easy. That's gravity.
Well, by his definition, it was.
It's the exact same principle as the suction pump, the maximum height of water in a suction pump. And I posted an article on that in the chat, by the way.
Yep.
So, but what if there was thermal energy bringing vapor upward that isn't in the same form, vapor?
What would happen if you filled the pipe with 33 feet of water and then heated the pipe up?
If I put a product like air underneath it, it would lift that fluid. That bubble will likely push the fluid before it pushes its way out.
The water comes from a reservoir that the pipe is dipped in, much like the design of a mercury barometer. So what happens if you heat the water up?
I think that's what I'm saying. I'm going to get a vertical push.
In what direction?
Upward.
Yeah, I think it would either stay the same or go downward because the water would become less dense. I think you actually might be somewhat right with that. However, water would also flow out the bottom. So would it even out at 33 feet or would it actually rise? Be an interesting question. But that's the basic principle of a mercury barometer, and I don't know if mercury barometers are that sensitive to normal temperatures.
And how do you
So, for example, if you heat the mercury barometer, does it change the air pressure, the reading on the air pressure? I don't think it does.
How do you feel about quantum?
I don't understand it. It's above my pay grade.
Yeah,
but I know how a straw works.
There is a temperature correction for mercury barometers. The mercury column would be less dense because it's expanded thermally. So there is that small correction for the specific gravity of mercury, temperatures be up above and below 20 degrees.
So you would assume that the same thing would be happening for water. And how do you apply that temperature correction? Do you reduce the reading or add to it?
Well, if it's hot, yeah, you reduce the mercury column.
Yeah, because it would be less dense and it would go up a little higher.
So yeah, so it's a matter. What you're really measuring is the mass of the column. So when it's hot, that a 29-inch column weighs less than when it's hot than a 29-inch column when it's cold.
That makes sense.
So there is, and it's really slight. I was at a National Weather Service station, and they had a couple of mercury columns up there, and they had the tables, and yeah, they go through about 3 or 4 little steps, most of which are strangely insignificant, except if it's systematic and over a long period of time. Of course, you have to always account for a slight detail.
Well, whatever the correction would be on a mercury barometer, it would be several times that, I would assume, for a water column because you're dealing with much larger numbers. But proportionally, it would be the same, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know the coefficient of thermal expansion of water. I mean, mercury is pretty, but not clear. It depends on the CTE, the coefficient of thermal expansion of water. So, not clear.
Okay. Would you agree that it probably wouldn't change by more than a foot?
Oh God, yeah. We're talking parts per million or something. Come on.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, I don't really think that'll have any bearing whatsoever on this thought experiment. there is a slight difference, but if you're dealing with 1/8 of an inch, I don't think that's going to significantly change the fact that gravity is pulling the water down and balancing the
like you
desire
said,
to push the water into the vacuum above.
Yeah, like you said, a water column is 30 feet. So yeah, if you're off an inch, that's like not even 2%. So who gives a crap?
Yeah. So it's one of those pointless details that has no bearing whatsoever on the outcome or the meaning of the test.
Follows with almost all entry level sciences, whether it be astronomy, geodesy, surveying, or any of the physics. And that is, your first approximations get you very close, and it only gets better. So yeah, it's like the radius of the Earth. Yeah, we get about 3960. Did you get 3980? Okay, you're not so wrong that it's flat. And it gets better and better. In astronomy, you're a quadrant. Are your angles? You could be off some minutes. You get a theodolite. Okay, now you're only off seconds, but it doesn't invert. It doesn't come up with something completely contrary.
Right. There's no great revelation when you get down to the last bit of correction.
Refinement. It's refinement. Just like when I was in high school physics, the teacher would hand out the test, and he'd be writing the test almost like up to the last minute, get a mimeograph, and then he would come up with his answer sheet while we're taking the test. He would take the test like right with us. He's using a slide rule. We're using pocket calculators, right? If we put down 3 digits, after we get past the first one, he doesn't care anymore because you couldn't have fucked up the formulae. He's got like 16 points. What? Yeah, he's fine. So yeah, he solved it with a slide rule because that's just as good.
Well, that kind of reminds me of something else, the great argument about the snipers and Coriolis. The Coriolis effect for a 308 round at 1,000 yards is on the order of 2 inches. Okay? The accuracy of that rifle at 1,000 yards is on the order of 5 inches. So how are you going to really take into account Coriolis on something that doesn't have the accuracy to measure it?
Because it's not random accuracy. You get used to your gun. What are you talking about? It's not random.
It's a classic statistics question. What's your noise level? What's your noise level, and how many data points do you have in it? So the same thing goes to all metrology or all alignment procedures. What's your noise level? What's your goal? And then you got to run the statistics. Are you looking for standard error, 2 sigma error, 3 sigma error? Are you building a jet aircraft, or are you building a go-kart? I mean, all the same rules apply. It's just, what's your goal? What's your budget? What are the tools you're using? How many data points do you have? Yeah, this is classic statistics when it comes to measuring anything.
Dan, yes, you're right. You're used to your rifle. However, you cannot put 2 bullets on top of each other consistently at 1,000 yards. The rifle simply does not have that level of accuracy. There is a cloud that forms around the center of the target when you're completely zeroed. There's a cloud of impact rounds that form around the target.
Okay.
And how big that disc is of those rounds, rifles are generally given as, what size disc can you put 50% of your shots into at a certain range?
Because it would take a couple of micrograins of powder to make those little differences. So there'd be a lot of things outside your control that are in the error budget to add to the noise. I mean, micrograins of powder, or what batch of powder, what's the wall case, the wall thickness of your casings, what's the crimp tightness,
fouling of the barrel. I mean, lots of things come into play. Now, some of them make big differences, and some of them don't. If you're shooting at an angle, you have to make a correction for that.
Hey, your first shot when you foul the barrel versus subsequent shots.
Cold barrel versus hot barrel. I mean, these are all things that need to be taken into account. We'll change it slightly. Now, how much of a change and whether that change is significant is for you to prove.
And in the world record kill shot in Afghanistan or wherever it was, that was like a 3-kilometer shot. Then Coriolis becomes a larger component, and yeah, it was kind of a crapshoot. But if it was definitely part of it, because at that point it's significant. Much like in where I'm turning zenith angles to a radio tower, if I'm only a mile away, there's a lot of things that doesn't matter. But when I'm 20 miles away, then all those same things that didn't matter are now not only important, they're predominant. So yeah, you have to know what direction these effects are going, and when they cross the threshold of noise level to significant to dominant.
The reason I brought that up is that this is a big problem that you run into in this science denial community, is trying to come up with, well, did you account for every single variable? All right, well, this would affect it, so therefore your results are invalid. But they never follow through and say it'll affect it this much. And whether or not that is actually going to change the outcome.
So backward. You're so backward. Man.
Well, as I say, I point out many times, it's like, oh, did you measure the temperature along the whole air column? I go, no, not the whole air column, but I did control the temperature by always observing in similar conditions, so I have a range. And if you look at the peak of the range and the trough of the range, you're still inside noise level of all other components, so it's not dominant. Now, if I go out in time or at night, then it would be dominant. So yeah, there are max and min and determine the error budget and your range.
All right, perfect. I'm back. It took me longer. I was getting the kitchen ready. I'll be in between the show. I'll be like on and off the kitchen. Question. You gotta leave Dan. I heard he say you got it backwards, and he totally disagrees. I want to hear why. But first, I don't think in the beginning, at the top of the show, I actually told you 3 times that you had to hit that like button. If you're watching right now, you got to share the show around somewhere. Throw it to the neighbors. Here, I'm sharing the show, and give me money. Farmer's Boy gave me money in PayPal earlier. Or if you want to throw a super chat also, or PayPal. Question, comments, concerns, trolling responsible comments, hit me up, and I will 100% be taken care of. Like Truth Nurse sent me a message earlier. He has been a member for 8 months. Damn. Thank you for being a smart, responsible troll, Truth Nurse. And he says, flash memory used to be based on floating gate transistors, but now is typically based on charge traps. Both rely on quantum tunneling for the right operation. Arguments from incredulity mean nothing. Shout out to Truth Nurse. That was when we were on about the quantum. Doofus, what's up, man? Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I just want to mention I posted a thing about quantum dots. It's tangentially related.
I have
that might be an interesting topic.
In response to what you were saying and what Bob was saying about what we do with data and calculations and when we throw them out and when we need them, there's a great Coriolis video about it from Dave Murphy 25. It's 3.5 minutes. Yeah, I could put it in there, or I could share it with you. It's terrific, but basically just talks about a sniper and what it would take to pull the measurements up and the adjustments, and it does come down to each and every grain of velocity. It does, because they got to deal with drop to begin with. They got to deal with conditions like wind. But at the last minute, if there were Coriolis to take in effect, there would have to be calculation. You couldn't just wing it.
Dan, do you have to account for Coriolis while you're walking across the street and back?
Of course not. No, and when I did calculations, I really wish you'd play the video, or I could play it. But in my calculations, I figured it was like a mile. The shot was nowhere near like 1,000 meters, way further. And I think it was 7 inches is what you'd expect in that time frame, of movement. So the real question is, would someone stand in the line of fire, knowing that the Earth should move them out of the way by 7 inches? And of course,
use the accuracy of the rifle.
Exactly,
How
that was
does
a
that
great
compare to
point.
7 inches?
That was a great point that does get in the way. But so if we move into a closer shot, Jose, can you play that video? It's really good. It's really funny. It's really poignant to what we're talking about.
Oh, from the Peace Drinker, Dave Murphy. Let me take a little
Pretty
look.
good.
1 minute of angle. 1 minute of angle at a mile is about 16 inches.
The point is, as a trained sniper, would you have time to figure out what direction you were pointed based on north, what speed you were going, and
So this is
make those adjustments?
Dan. This is a propaganda video, right? It looks like.
It's actually what I think so, because what it is, it's designed to get you to think. Therefore, it works. It's funny though. It's amusing. It's pretty good, and I really appreciate it.
Well, two things, Dan. First of all, it doesn't matter what direction you're pointing. Coriolis affects all directions. And second of all, did you just put up a video that has crosshairs on a former president of the United States?
Well, if you're trying to make a big deal about something, you should just either shoot me, call the cops, or shut the fuck up.
What a bunch of bullshit that video is.
This is
I'm not
funny.
gonna play that.
Well, Jose, I don't really think that's a good idea. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't want to take a chance for copyrights and stuff. And still, it's a
I've been through this before. Anyway, I put the I put the link if anyone wants to watch it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's in the Discord.
It's
If
not
anybody
scary.
want to check it
It's
out.
not scary. But what the information is, if it scares you guys, is that there's no one that's able to make these calculations. For instance, Bob comes back and goes, "Hey, it could be this way, it could be that way." That doesn't change the fact that you'd have to make.
I just made the calculations right off the top of my head, Dan.
Well,
And I'm
yeah,
not a sniper.
But Dan, still, they have firing tables, and if a sniper's going to be doing something in a given location where he's going to be sitting in place for maybe a couple hours, he's looking up the tables, and he has many of them have an assistant or a spotter, and Judd, they prep for things.
Right, they know which way they're facing for sure. Jeez.
Yeah, let's make sure to not talk about like guns anymore. Let's talk about, I don't know, rubber band shooting apparatuses or something.
Well, shooting a rubber band, if you're shooting it far enough to encounter Coriolis, it doesn't really matter what cardinal direction you're shooting it because the Coriolis affects it in all directions.
There you go, Dan the Waterman. Yeah.
Well, if
Rubber
you're going
band. Yeah.
and south, that's azimuth change, and if you're going mostly east, then it's range change. So there is that sign value of azimuth.
Yeah, but Coriolis turns it in every direction, in every cardinal direction, and
You're
there's
dizzy,
a lot of
Bob.
reasons for
You're
that.
just dizzy. You're dizzy. That's all. Imagine all that spin. It's got to be getting to you.
What?
Angular momentum shit.
It
What do they
is
call that
one.
system? The coccular system. What do they
Hey,
call it?
we'll come back to the same spot tomorrow at the same time. The same time tomorrow. It's 24 hours. See? I mean, it's a whole day. One revolution per day, then. It's not that fast.
And there is a nice video of the tour of the USS New Jersey where they go through the artillery firing room, and he says, "Step over here, and here's where we get curvature and Coriolis corrections for our artillery firing solutions at 20 miles onto land." Yeah, and they don't use that Coriolis going ship to ship because they're only going a mile. So yeah, when does something become predominant? And he said, "This is in our firing control room. Here's where the computations are for the long-range land-based shots where they're going 20 miles. Here is our Coriolis and curvature correction computation station for the firing solution." So yeah, there is that. It is computable.
Coriolis for a 16-inch naval rifle, like on the Iowa, moves the shell about 180 yards.
There's a point in the range where it becomes important or even dominant. Yeah, you got to know. You got to know when to blow it off and when it's absolutely fucking important.
When to blow it off. Okay, good job.
Is it important when you're driving down the road in your car?
To know when to blow off the exit.
No, but is it
off
present?
on?
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, it's not important.
Is it important when you're? Is it
Anytime
important when you?
across a rotating surface, you're going to have a Coriolis effect. It's just going to be very tiny at low speeds and in short distances. So when I do it, I don't have to take into account Coriolis.
Let me hear Gary. Go ahead. Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, we can just pretend it's there. We just can't actually show it or measure it. Just pretend. Right, Bob?
No.
It works.
Same with the plane. You just pretend. You can't actually show any measurement or any adjustment whatsoever or Coriolis while you're flying.
No.
You just pretend it's there. Yes, let's pretend.
It works for them.
Gary, if you don't have anything to add to the conversation, don't engage me.
Well,
with
that
one.
pretty much ended your bullshit. You actually think you got to steer your car to adjust for Coriolis.
Gary's got an argument. He just refuses to believe anything that you say and about Coriolis coming from you.
Well, he can't.
That's his point.
He can't actually
Fine,
show it.
so I won't engage him, Jose.
Yeah, that's his
He
argument.
can't actually show it.
He just don't want to believe you.
He just has to pretend it's there. They have their measurements, so supposedly, but they can't actually show it. So somehow it's mysteriously hidden. It's hidden in the curves of the road, and in the bumps, and in the adjustments
The irony
for
of
this and
Gary
that and the
talking
other
about people
thing.
pretending. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, it is pretend. I still think it's funny when Bob
is a
thinks you got to
thing.
steer your car.
Yeah. Is that really the best you can do? You can just keep dragging it up again and again and again every time.
Well, because it's so silly and so obvious, it's dumb.
Really?
That's why you guys hate it. That's why you get all pissy. You get all pissy because you hate that idea that being brought up again. But Bob's the one who said it.
I'm in.
And I'll say it again because that's fine. You don't understand it. I can deal with that. I don't have a problem with it.
What was really funny is Blue didn't quite agree with you, but he wouldn't say so. So you're the alpha, and you and Blue, you're the
that's
alpha.
good. We don't need to get there. We don't need to mention this. We spoken about it hundreds of times. I want to keep it moving, progressing the discussion. Stingray, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no, I just got a question for Gary because I'm really, really interested. Is there anywhere where I can read where the Globers think that we would have to adjust for Coriolis while driving? Really interesting.
Yeah, it was Bob said it on Jose's show. I made a video and I've got the clips in it. So if you want to watch my video, you can see the clips where Bob clearly and emphatically states you have to adjust your car for Coriolis by steering.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are here. This is a fresh day. This is the 7th of October, 2022. Let's talk about it. Let's not say this is what happened. This is what we talk. Let's talk about it now. Let's move forward. Progress.
Yeah, my simple question.
Stingray, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just okay. So besides hearsay and besides a panelist, that's we're all here just for a laugh. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested. Is there anywhere stated in any literature from anybody of any ilk that the Globe side believed that we should adjust for Coriolis while driving? Just link me to it if you could. That'd be awesome.
So you're declaring right now that Bob is full of shit, right?
No, we're not talking about others. We're talking about the argument. We're talking about the point. Not talking about other people. Let's move on.
Well, Bob is the one who's the pro.
You're still talking about people. You're still talking about people, Gary. Let's move on. Let's try to progress the conversation. Bob is here. He has to say something. But Gary, you're talking. Stingray is asking you a question, talking to you. Forget about Bob. He's here.
I'm stating what Bob said on your show. Tell Stingray.
Why are you stating? Do you agree with him? All right. What we are about to hear is Gary saying everything that he agrees with Bob with. Right.
No, what we hear is Jose.
Gary, then you got it, chillax. Let's move on in the conversation. We're not gonna keep repeating the stuff that happened. We can make something happen now. Let's stop talking about what fucking happened. Move on, bro. Dan, go ahead and then Gary. Dan the Waterman and then Gary. Dan, push through it, man. Yeah, you first and then Gary.
I missed something before, and I have an honest request because it'll be amusing for us all. Stingray's in a mood. He's inquisitive, and he asked me about something that got dropped, and I want him to ask Bob the questions about quantum tunneling so we can learn something. And that's basically where Gary was at is why don't you guys sort your stuff out? Because we're only repeating you.
No, we're talking about a specific, about Coriolis, about a
We
specific
care
claim.
about science enough.
It's a specific claim, Dan. You're trying to move away from the discussion.
No, I'd like to know what Stingray's trying to say about quantum tunneling.
No, we're not talking about that. Stingray asked a question. We moved on from that. We're talking about driving a car on Coriolis. That's what we're talking about right now. Stingray, go ahead. Make your point and we start fresh. Gary, when and if the question is for you, address the question and move forward. Forget about what other people say. Talk about what you think and what you say and how it should work and all that good stuff. Talk about your perspective, your point of view. Forget about others, please.
Hey, Gary, let's split and teach him a lesson.
Stingray, go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, I think I get Gary's point now. He's probably taking something out of context and using hearsay, and that's his entire argument for how Globers should believe it. But I'm asking for an authority, and there is none. So I think your point's pretty much pointless, Gary.
No, my point is, of course there's nothing out there because it is bullshit. I'm not the one who said it that it has to be done. Somebody else who will not be named right now because Jose will flip out said it on Jose's show numerous times, not just once. And it wasn't out of context. It wasn't misconstrued.
Why are we talking about what happened instead of talking about what is going to happen today?
I think we both agree, from a globe perspective and from a flat Earth perspective, we should not adjust for Coriolis while driving our car. Thank you, Gary.
No, I agree with you.
Well,
I agree
hold
with
on,
you.
No, I don't agree.
Now we can talk. Now we can let other people in. Shaik, go ahead.
Yeah. The Coriolis force is there. You can't ignore it. It's not going away. Doesn't matter how slow you go. You have to adjust for it. Is it significant compared to all the other adjustments you need to do? No. But it's there. It can't be ignored.
Can you measure it, Jake?
No.
Okay.
So just to
Let's
clear
pretend.
up, Jake, when I say adjust for it, I mean consciously comprehend and then counter. That's what I mean by adjust.
Do I need to consciously
Nice one. Now you switched back to Bob's side. You basically just said, yes, you do steer.
To consciously adjust for wind gusts? I do it unconsciously. I just do it.
There's no siding here. There's information being told here, and we're trying to absorb and learn from each other. Now, Bob has been mentioned 20 times. Bob, you got any points about this topic?
Well, yeah. Anytime you move across a rotating surface, you're going to encounter Coriolis. And the way that you counter it in an airplane or an automobile or anything else is you have to turn to maintain a particular course. So, for example, if you leave Anchorage and you fly directly south, completely unaware of where you are, and just maintain that compass heading, so to say, or that direction that you're going, you're going to gently drift to the right. That will pull you off course. To stay on course, you have to actually turn to the left a little bit to maintain course, and you do that the entire time. That adds a leftward component to your speed. And as a result, that's how you counter the Coriolis in an airplane. You do the same thing in a car, it's just minuscule. As long as you stay on the road, you will counter Coriolis.
So if I follow a highway on the ground while I'm flying in my plane, I'm sticking like Velcro to the ground and flowing with the Coriolis?
No, you're
matching
matching
in my lane. Or if I stay in my lane.
You're matching the rotational speed of the Earth underneath that lane of the highway.
Which is nothing. So you're not adjusting for anything. Thank you.
So because you don't hold on, Shaik. So because you don't agree with the Earth movement or rotation, that's it. That's the end of the argument.
That's as far as he can go.
Let's just boil it down to simplicity. Which argument sounds the best?
Well,
That you're
you don't
spinning,
need to
but
adjust for
pretend that you got to
You don't
pretend
need
you're
to-
adjusting
Hold
when you're
on,
not
guys.
adjusting,
Gary.
or you just not adjusting
Shaik,
because
after
there's no
Gary.
spin.
Gary.
Simplest
Shaik.
thing is always usually the right answer.
He won't shut up. He simply needs to continue talking. Gary, you don't need to adjust for it because your car is doing it for you. It's firmly, more or less, attached to the ground and doesn't drift away. That's all.
So my car now is adjusting for Coriolis on its own.
Yeah,
Like a self-driving car, you know.
No, because it's on the ground. If your car was frictionless, you would have to do it.
I would hate to argue your guys' point. It's so silly.
Yeah, I know. Your incredulity is noted.
All right, and now
Well, no,
I want to ask.
It's just flat out silly.
All right, that's cool. Before we get to NASA, because you came in later than others, Big Blue is in the house. Do you got any thoughts on this topic that you want to present a point?
Yeah. I'll be glad to talk about Coriolis with Gary as soon as Gary can give me a definition of what Coriolis is. I'll get you started, Gary.
That would be you adjusting for the Earth turning underneath
Coriolis, Gary, shut up. Coriolis, I'll get you started and you finish it. Coriolis is the vector cross product of. You finish.
I don't give your definition. Coriolis would be the
Well,
Earth
either give
turning
my
under
definition or
under
shut up.
you.
I'm not
And your
talking.
adjustment for the Earth turn under you. I give my definitions. I'm not forced under your definition. You're an idiot. Hey, who's the alpha?
Good. I have nothing to say to you in that case, Gary. You are too stupid to talk to.
Well, of course not. Do you still believe you got to steer your car for Coriolis or not?
Gary, you've got a really high shed, haven't you?
What happened? Hold on, Stingray. Stingray, really quick. Let's let Gary and Blue a second. But what happens here is that, like, Bob give his explanation, then Gary interpreted, and he rounds up. He make a summary of the explanation, and he just presented as a question or as a point from his perspective, from his interpretation. Now you're doing the same thing to Bob. You're asking him a question because of an explanation he gave, and you interpreted that certain way, and you made it a specific point, which is not exactly the words he say, but you just extracted just that out of the whole conversation. But if you want to ask Blue the question again, and if Blue want to answer it, go ahead, guys. Go ahead, Gary.
What question am I demanded by you to ask Blue?
You were going to ask Blue a question? Were you going to ask Blue a question?
You said I wasn't asking Blue anything.
Were you going to ask Blue a question? I told you. Go ahead, ask him a question. And then answer
I don't have a question for Blue.
Oh, okay. I told you asked him a question. I thought you asked him, do you still agree with something about the category?
Okay, I threw that in at the end, yeah. He never was clear whether he thought you had to steer your car for Coriolis or not. I think he was afraid of Bob, and he didn't want to contradict Bob.
I think
that's it. That's all I had. He doesn't have to answer it. He doesn't.
Yeah,
have to
you
say
mean Bob
what
that's been afraid to speak up because that's his game?
Bob's not afraid to speak up.
Well, no, Blue was afraid of Bob on this one.
Turtle shell, Bob.
No,
Blue was afraid of Bob.
There is no need to personal stuff. Hold on, guys. Blue, go ahead.
Gary, you're just trying to incite something, okay? And I really don't appreciate it. So either get on the topic. Stop trying to pick a fight. If you want to pick one, you'll get one, buddy.
I'm sorry, Blue.
I'll tell you that right now.
You don't sound well.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that's the end.
Well,
all right.
I don't feel that well either.
Yeah, yeah. Health. Hopefully, take care of yourself.
Maybe you should.
The health is not easy. Gary, there's no.
Which is one of the reasons
okay.
why I don't care to argue with some idiot like
I don't want to argue with Blue if he's going to have
it's
a heart
okay.
attack.
It's okay. We don't need to do any of that, Gary. I try to avoid you saying that comment, and you still say it. There's not do any of that. Judy gave me $10 on PayPal. I want to thank Judy very, very, very much for the support. I really appreciate that. Let's move on in the discussion. Pain as a shield. You had a comment, and then Stingray. I know Pain as a shield is more quick back and forth, and then Stingray.
Yeah, I was just wondering if Kerry has anything other than an argument from incredulity.
I'm wondering if Peyton Asashiel has anything but insults and nasty comments.
Yeah.
He never actually produces anything that contributes to any conversation whatsoever.
Like you,
He just comes in, makes a quick remark, and flies off back into his bat hole.
Gary, I gave you a picture.
Bat cave.
Personal attacks. His answer is personal attacks. Go ahead, Jake.
Actually, the answer is yes. Another argument from incredulity. Gary, I give you a
Jake, actually, you caught in front of Stingray, so make it quick. It was Stingray's turn.
You remember the picture I gave you, and all you had to say is, no, the observer is not at 1,200 feet, like you know where it is, right?
Yeah, he wasn't at 1,200 feet.
Where was it?
I zoomed in on the picture, I posted it in the Discord, and it's somewhere around where you see the horizon, and there is where the height of the observer was, because you could look down at the buildings below. At the buildings below, you could look down at them, but you couldn't look down at the top part of the tower,
We're
which means
changing
you were
topics
below it.
big time. We're changing topics. So I
Oh,
hope we can come
Chaiki
back.
did it.
Yeah,
I
Chaiki did.
didn't.
I know Chaik. Yeah, Chaik. We were into a different topic. Stingray, go ahead, man. Hope you didn't get.
Oh,
We
yeah,
didn't.
no,
Just...
I think I forgot actually.
Oh fuck! It was about the Coriolis or whatever. Oh well.
Yeah, I can.
Go ahead, Luffy. Yeah, please.
Well, I was going to bring up. I mean, military uses counters for Coriolis effect for all of their field artillery shots, especially for ones greater than 8 kilometers of distance. They got us.
When I was a kid, I had a BB gun. I would adjust for the curvature of the Earth by pointing up a little farther to get my BB to go farther.
I've got a question actually.
It's basically the same shit you're trying to say.
All right.
Because they definitely use the Coriolis corrections to
Don't forget
make
these guys,
actual
Stingray.
shots in the real world that do correct for the curvature or for the rotation.
Can you show how they differentiate between crosswinds and supposedly the Earth turning under the artillery?
Yep, they're two different adjustments.
Yes, they have different correction tables for each of those, Gary.
You can show them both that being done in actuality. You can give me the
they have different tables for both of those.
This is how much they adjusted for that. No, you can't.
Yes, they have
It's like
different
Bob.
tables
It's
for
like
both.
Bob.
Hold on, Gary. You made a point. Gary, hold on 1 second. Let's not move past what you just did. You asked a question, made a point, a statement, and then you answered your question and say no, they don't, and you kept going. But Doofus disagrees with that, and we need to give him a chance to tell us why. Go ahead.
Right, tables H and I are for the correction for Earth's rotation. Those two tables are separate from all the Met tables that Gary's trying to bring up, which are the preceding tables. They have different corrections for different things.
Yeah, Blue and Bob both gave math equations for Coriolis, but they can't actually show it's ever being done.
That happened. We're not interested into that. We're interested into what we're talking about today and now. Well, I don't care about what happened before. I care about the topic.
Well, no,
today.
it's part of this conversation because they can give all these equations all they want,
but that hasn't happened today.
And they themselves, I've heard them, at least Blue, I think.
Why are you doing this? That hasn't happened today.
You can't actually measure it because it's so little.
We
So in
are
other
moving
words,
on, Gary.
you can't
We are
actually
moving
show a
forward.
measurement.
We are
Okay,
not stuck in the past. Why are you stuck in the past, man?
We can show
not
Coriolis.
stuck in the past. It's
Move
part of
forward,
what we were talking about.
No, it's not.
You can't
It
show the measurement
that
for it
hasn't
actually
happened, Gary.
happening.
Gary,
You
that
can
has
show
happened before. A
Coriolis.
while ago.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, I just posted
Hold
a
on,
video.
Larry. Hold on, Larry. Wait, everybody.
Jose is blocking everybody from talking to these guys because he knows.
No, I want to move forward in the discussion. I don't want to stay stuck in the past. This thing, go ahead.
No, this is a question for, well, it ends with Gary, but anybody else in the room. How difficult, well, probably Blue would be best to answer this. How difficult would it be if I had access, which I'm sure Gary has, to a large, I don't know, maybe hay or straw shed that's enclosed, and I've got some really high cross beams across there. Would it be relatively inexpensive for me to construct a device with a huge weight that I could leave and obviously swing quite a length and get some effect of Coriolis consistently, or is that, how easy is that?
Relative easy. There's a couple videos where the guys do that. Let me see if I can find one.
So my next question, Gary, is I think with less than a couple of, well, less than $50, I would imagine. Although you might need some steel wire, I'm guessing, and a nice a nice way to like minimize friction and stuff. You could demonstrate that Coriolis is not consistent and not a thing quite easily in a large, like even a grain shed or a straw or hay shed if you've got one, without, so that there's no wind, obviously.
Right. They don't typically have those bottom planks all the way down at the ground in some of those. Because, the drafts will come in. So
I think there's a good role when we are in this type of discussions and talking. We should We should think that every single day is a brand new, fresh day, and we cannot do continuations of episodes and things that happened last week, a month ago, a year ago, and 2 years ago. We cannot do that because if I send people more new to the channel, every day I go to the show, there's one person or two people lurking in the background. They want to listen. They want to learn what we're talking about. If we're talking about no, but they say this and they say that, if they cannot, you know. The only way that they can defend themselves from somebody interpreting something they say is by talking about it again and repeating the topic. But there's no need to do that. That already happened. We can move on. We can try to make it fresh, make it new, make it more dynamic. Not talk about, no, but they say this one time and that's all I'm going to use it the rest of my life. When later on they might say something else, they might have corrected their point 20 times. Are we going to do that every time? I get bored sometimes. Just keep listening the same bullshit.
Gary has though.
Except he just supported his point on your show just now again. He didn't change his mind. He hasn't changed what he said. He basically just said it again on your show today. So he hasn't changed his point. I haven't missed it somewhere where I wasn't listening and he said he changed his mind. He said it again today.
That's great. I'm new, man. Come on. Shout out to everybody, man.
There's a difference, Gary. Now I understand that if you'd have asked me, do I adjust for Coriolis? The answer is no. I don't do it consciously. Does the vehicle that I'm driving, including every other object on the surface of the planet, experience it? Then I would say yes, absolutely.
But you can't
demonstrate that in one of your sheds.
You cannot. You cannot demonstrate your car is being adjusting for Coriolis at any point of the way. That's all bullshit.
Got it. You didn't let him finish. Stingray.
You could demonstrate the non-existence of Coriolis if you've got a fairly high shed that is protected from the wind.
No, he's done.
Yep. I'm cool with that.
No, I'm not gone. I just muted. That's all.
No, the Stingray was still talking when you decided to interrupt him, but now he's actually done. Not the time that you interrupted. He wasn't done yet. He's done now with what he was saying. You know what I mean?
Oh, anyhow, I'd like to also ask Bob about the vacuum pump suctioning up water to 33 feet or whatever. And then he said the reason it can't go farther is because gravity is pulling. So is gravity now a force again? Because last I heard, gravity wasn't a force, and that's what the latest science is.
Gravity is a force.
Bob kept saying it pulls the water down.
Gravity is a force. That's correct.
Well, the best way to put it is that masses accelerate towards other masses. If you want to describe it as a force in the reference frame of the objects that are undergoing that acceleration, that is perfectly valid. So none of that confusion that you're trying to induce, Gary, has anything to do with the relevance. Gravity does accelerate masses towards other masses.
How does it do that? It pulls. So gravity's a force?
Yes.
Masses accelerate towards other masses. That's the
No, is gravity a force?
Yes.
Like I said just a moment ago, it is convenient to say from the perspective of one of those masses that's undergoing acceleration
not a force.
that you can use.
Your biggest scientists have said that.
Gary's talking.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. You couldn't say your point because it was Gary's point. All the time is Gary's point.
You're trying to dismiss it because of bendy space-time, right? You don't understand that the two are exactly the same, different ways of explaining.
Okay, so how does bendy space-time pull the water down?
Well, it's easy.
Because of gravity, bends space-time.
Yeah, if the two masses are if the two masses are distorting space-time, right?
Which two masses
they will
are
fall
distorting
toward
space-time?
They will fall toward each. I'll go ahead and finish.
You gotta let him finish, Gary. You gotta let him finish, Gary.
If the two masses that are being assessed are distorting space-time, and they fall toward each other, that is effectively the same thing as a force causing them to accelerate. It is convenient to acknowledge it as a force. It doesn't have to itself be a force in order for that to happen.
So it's not a force.
Neither is when you go turn the corner in your car, you accelerate outside. That is also not a force, yet you feel it.
That's centrifugal force. Centrifugal force.
It's not a force, though.
No, sir, there's no
it's a force created by the turn a change of direction while you're accelerating.
Gravity is a force created by bending space-time.
That's an actual force.
Every time NASA speaks, Gary want to answer him, but you are obfuscating Doofy's point, NASA, unintentionally. He explained it very well. I understand. I know. I can flip flop and say no, gravity is not a force. I can find you 1,000 quotes that people say gravity is not a force. But how is that calculated, measured, observed, and everything like a force? It can be quantified as a force. Is it a force? No, maybe not. I couldn't give a fuck. It acts like a force. It does what a force do. Gravity, well, I don't have any issues with that. Even if it's not a force, you can calculate, do everything as a force. There you go. Boom.
So we use whichever definition we feel like when whatever the situation is.
Hey, you can do whatever you want. I mean, whatever rocks your boat, bro.
If we don't want it to be a force, then we pretend it's not a force.
Whatever rocks your boat, Gary.
You guys are so convoluted. You guys get everything backwards and forwards, and you try to tie them all in together, and it just doesn't work.
It's actually quite easy for people who think about it. See, the problem is that you can get the force.
Sorry, I didn't laugh.
Listen to me once again.
Don't interrupt, just background noise.
The same thing every time.
And hot mic.
And
hot mic.
you're an idiot too.
And hot mic.
Yes.
Hot
You
mic.
see, what happens is it's much easier to compute Newtonian gravity than Einsteinian gravity. But the Einsteinian formulas with all the tensors and stuff will collapse down to Newtonian gravity. NASA uses Newtonian gravity to put stuff in orbit, to put stuff to Mars, to send the Pioneer spacecrafts outside the solar system. It works. We don't need to go to Einstein for simple stuff. Unless you're moving really fast, or you're in a really strong gravitational well, or you're really, really small, Newtonian gravity works quite well. Thank you very much.
Quick thought. Important, Gary, before you, just a quick thought. I like this Pain as a Shield. Pain as a Shield knows a lot of stuff. He got a lot of information, but you got to just, like you did now, take a breath, and while people don't interrupt, we're good. Pain as a Shield will speak his piece. 30 seconds, a minute, and that's it. We're done. We gotta stop interrupting every single one back and forward. Gotta go ahead, man. What he said.
So we decide and pick and choose which gravity we want to use, Newtonian or gosh, I just went blank.
Einsteinian, that's correct.
Einstein, yeah. Okay, we can pick and choose whichever one we want to use.
Whichever
for the
one works.
situation, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
That's a typical globe. That's a typical Globy argument.
Listen once again. Unless you're moving
No, I listened to you. I heard you.
Listen to me. Stop and shut up. You close your mouth. You can listen easier.
Unless
you're moving,
you could just ask me to
once again, shut
you asking for it, NASA. Come on, don't do that after I give you, kudos for doing well, man. We're doing it.
Unless you're moving a large fraction of the speed of light, unless you are in a very strong gravitational well, unless you're very, very small, subatomic size, Einsteinian correction. Newtonian gravity works very, very well. Thank you. You don't need to go into all the frickin' tensors and stuff. Now, if any of those three situations occur, well, then you've got to go to Einsteinian.
All right, NASA, don't interrupt him.
Unless.
To answer. Go ahead, Gary.
Unless this or that or the other thing or this or that thing, unless this or that.
Gary, we all know you can't do neither, right? So why are you even talking?
You can do Einsteinian for everything. It's just
no. I was talking about Gary can do Newtonian or Einsteinian. He can't do neither of them. Can you?
Well, neither one of them exists, so that's just besides the point. You guys pretend you know what they are, and yet you confuse them all the time.
No,
you don't know if gravity is a force or not a force. You don't know if Coriolis has to be adjusted for or not.
You can't do simple math.
All, you guys mix up your languages so you confuse everybody, including yourselves. You guys should listen to yourselves sometimes. You guys sometimes forget I'm in Discord, and just listening to you guys argue amongst yourselves is hilarious sometimes.
If you accept Coriolis, you should accept Coriolis and gravity the same as you accept centripetal force. Centripetal force is also an emergent force. You accept that.
But I accept Coriolis.
Well, you should. If you accept centripetal force, which is also an emergent force, you should accept the other emergent forces.
Coriolis would be something like if I'm on a merry-go-round and it's turning around, I'm looking at something in the sky and it's changing. It's where I see it. That's what Coriolis effect is like. Flying in a plane over a turning Earth, it just doesn't happen.
Actually, that's why hurricanes spin the way they do, and why you have to correct.
No, it has nothing to do with the way hurricanes spin.
Yes, it does.
It's all baloney, and you know it.
100%.
It's all baloney.
NASA, Gary, one at a time.
Which is why hurricanes spin one direction in the northern hemisphere and the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. Amazing, isn't it?
Right. Gary's
Also,
position is it doesn't happen because he says the Earth doesn't
hear the
rotate.
same argument for sinks
Got it.
and
The fish
toilets.
was in front of you. The fish was talking.
That's also why you don't really have her
Stop.
equator.
I didn't hear
Right.
him.
Just mentioning that it's Gary's position that all of these effects of Coriolis that we're mentioning, hurricane rotation, how they don't occur at the equator, and how they have that dividing line between their set of rotations. Gary
No, I
says
would
that's
say
not because of
if it's anything,
Coriolis.
it's not.
He's almost done, got it. He's almost done,
Thank you,
got it.
Gary. Gary says that doesn't occur due to Coriolis, specifically because his position is the Earth doesn't rotate. He doesn't
Well, it
have a
has nothing.
reason for why these things that we attribute to Coriolis occur. He just wants to restate his position that the Earth doesn't rotate. That's all he's doing.
Or it could be because of the way the sun and the moon both move back and forth from tropic to tropic. It could have something to do with them moving. It could have zero to do with the Earth turning. You just presume it's the Earth turning because that's your model, and so you're going to stick to it, come hell or high water.
But see,
The dividing line doesn't move from tropic to tropic, Gary. So the dividing
No,
line
it's all in that area.
The dividing
It's all
line
in that
being at
area.
the equator all year. The dividing line being at the equator all year long disproves the statement you just made.
No, it doesn't at all.
Well, Gary,
That's
there's
your
a
opinion.
conflict there, isn't there?
Well,
Because
and it's your opinion that it's your spin.
I think
Gary,
I pushed through it.
so
Thing right
there's
here.
a conflict with what you just said, Gary. You're saying it could be, the sun moving and it goes from the tropics. And if that were true, then the Coriolis effect, as measured by a pendulum swinging with a heavy weight, would be variant based on the position of the sun in relation to those tropics, and it never is.
I'll believe that when the pendulum starts on its own and maintains its turn. Then
Oh,
you
you
can
idiot.
then you can talk to
Not
me
done
if you
on it.
want.
Let him
You
finish.
have to physically start it and restart it all the time.
That's correct.
And
So
then you
what?
just had the one that failed over there in Australia
So-
that you guys
so it's your
gave a bunch of
position-
shit to Mitchell for, but
Let me get this straight. So it's
It
your
wasn't
position
working.
that if we lived on a globe, and every glober believes this, that we also believe that if I hang a string line with a heavy weight, it will magically start swaying. Now, one of two things are true. One, you're incredibly confused and lying, or two, you're batshit crazy because no one thinks that.
Yeah, I thought that
Well,
yesterday.
specific.
I was thinking about that yesterday. I was speaking about the same shit yesterday. I
That's
should
like me saying-
I should
that's
have
like
a
me
string
saying to
hanging,
you, Garrett.
missing, swinging around.
Yeah, that's like me saying, oh, well, if the Earth is flat, then I would expect some magical fucking unicorn to appear. That's not your position. Why would you invent a position for globers that no one believes is true?
what did I say that no glober believes is true?
You said that it should start swinging if the Earth is rotating.
Well, if you attribute everything to the spin of the Earth, then yes, it should
me
start on its
one
own. And
globe
if
proponent
I put
or
something on a table and started slowly spinning it, and it had a string, it would start to spin.
Okay,
It
brilliant.
doesn't.
That's fantastic. Let's stick with that.
But it doesn't.
You give me one
Earth
globe
doesn't.
I thought you
proponent.
finished talking, Gotti, and Stingray is talking now.
You give me one globe proponent or one source that says that, and I will apologize. Otherwise, stop making really weird, batshit crazy stuff up, please.
Did I say any Globy says that happens? I said it should happen. No, I've
Oh,
never
right,
heard a Globy
okay,
say it should.
so the lunacy.
But if I do put some kind of a stick or something attached to a table, and I start slowly turning the table, will the string start turning?
You spin the table once around every 24 hours?
No, well, we're talking at the surface of the Earth. Like, I know you like to use a little one RPM or one revolution per
Yeah, one
day.
revolution every 24 hours.
But that still equates to over 1,000 miles per hour at the
I don't give a
surface,
shit
and we
about the
know
speed.
that. I know you don't because you like to use the other numbers because it confuses everybody
No, it doesn't
on your
confuse
side.
anybody. You just
Yeah,
afraid of big
it's
numbers.
still, it's
You like
no,
to use
no,
big numbers.
big number.
There's an easy way to.
I use the bigger number. You're using the smaller one.
That's
You're
correct.
trying
Yeah,
to use
afraid
a
of
number
big
that
numbers.
sounds small. I'm trying to actually use a number that's actual real if
afraid of
your
big numbers.
case is real. Well, 12.
there's-
If we're spinning at the surface at 1,000 plus miles per hour, that's significant. I would say.
So relative to what?
I've got.
Relative to what?
Yeah, all speed is relative.
know,
yeah, because you have your atmosphere turning, right?
Garrett,
Like Velcro. Your atmosphere is Velcro, so everything is just relative. You don't
clear
notice
this up,
anything.
Garrett. I'm going to
It's
go.
funny how all your math works in such a way that it displays a flat and motionless Earth.
Actually, it doesn't because of the
Let me
But it does.
Gary a question, because I'm with Gary on this one. So can we both agree that if it was a globe, we would feel this supposed spin the most at the equator? Is that correct? Yes. If
If it was a ball spinning, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, also,
Yeah,
brilliant.
you have to
Now,
remember I put if in there.
Yep. So, given like a 6 million meter radius of the supposed ball Earth, can you tell me, since we don't feel speed, what the angular acceleration would be at that point that I would be expected to feel? And if you can't, can you please shut up talking about it?
Okay, what would the surface speed be on an Earth? If it's spinning,
can you tell me
if it's spinning, if it's got a circumference of around 25,000 miles and it's spinning once every 24 hours, what would be the surface speed at the surface?
Irrelevant. What acceleration?
No, it's not irrelevant. That's cute.
Trying to
You like
answer.
to say
He's
stuff
trying
like
to answer,
that.
Gary. He's trying to answer.
So, Gary, I'm asking you now. We feel acceleration. If you don't think that's true, let's stick on the point that you don't think we feel acceleration, we feel speed, because that's fucking primary.
I would say
right there. So,
well, we would feel acceleration because the Earth in your model also is an elliptical orbit around the sun, so we would feel that, but we don't.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Awesome.
Oh my God,
what you've done is you've calculated and multiplied vectors together to produce an average acceleration which is above human perception. Can you show me this? Because you've got me as a flat earther if you can.
Well, if you first of all, let's say it's a perfect ball and it's spinning, you would feel it because it would have an acceleration like a centrifugal force. You would feel because at 1,000+ miles per hour, you would feel it.
So,
but you don't because it doesn't exist. It's
Gary,
not
when
real.
you stop talking, you never stop talking because you keep chipping in and chipping in. You got to stop doing the chipping after you're done talking.
And in what direction would that force be, Gary?
It would, if you were spinning to the east, it would just spin outward from it. The centrifugal force.
Would outward be up?
Outward.
What's
up in your model? You don't even know what up in your model is.
The direction opposite the ground through my head.
Well, that's the same on the flat Earth.
Okay, so would that direction of that acceleration be upward?
Well, in your model, because the Earth is still spinning, it would be throwing you outward.
Okay, is outward upward at the equator?
It wouldn't be in your model, no. It would be outward.
Yeah. Yes, it would.
Okay. What would outward be?
No, because you're spinning from underneath it. That means it's just flinging out. It's not up. It would be at an angle.
Let's try not to answer. Hold on, Chaik. Let's try not to answer questions to people that is chipping in between because you were talking to Bob. A specific question, somebody asked something and you address that person. Let's not do that. If somebody asks you something, just focus on the person that is asking you that you're talking to in the time.
So would outward be up? If not, what direction would it be in?
What was the question again, Bob?
So Gary says that the force would be directed outward. At the equator, would outward be up or would it be in some other direction?
Outward, like to the left and to the right, outward. If I'm looking at the globe in front of me, and a bird's eye view, and I'm looking at the globe spinning, it will throw me to the right or to the left, or in that direction, like in the horizontal plane. It will throw me out.
On the globe. And out from the center of the globe through you is what direction?
Yeah. You agree with that, Gary? The way I presented it.
I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, Jose.
If I'm looking at the globe in front of me, rotating right in bird's eye view, if the globe starts spinning, the people standing on the side will be thrown out, like to the sides, to the left, to the right, and all them places.
Well, if you were spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, there would be no people left on it within seconds.
Because that would happen when it starts spinning, right? It will sling people to the left, to the right, in the horizontal plane.
Unless we pretend there's gravity pulling us down and overcoming centrifugal force, and that the Earth's atmosphere is sticking like Velcro to the Earth and being dragged along with it. If we pretend all those things, your model works. but the trouble is they don't exist.
I'll try
They're
to
not
do it.
actually
Hold on,
happening.
guys.
All that
Hold on,
stuff works
NASA. Hold
on
on,
a flat,
NASA.
motionless Earth.
NASA, hold
I
on.
wasn't done. Okay, I'm done now.
Bob.
So, Gary, on a globe Earth that is rotating, what is the direction of force? Is it from the center of the force directly through you? Or is center of the Earth through you?
You know what, Bob? I really don't care. The fact is, if it was spinning, the force would throw you off it. If it was an
Correct.
actual spin with an
Absolutely.
actual force, a centrifugal force, it would just spin you off. Period.
What direction?
Doesn't matter if it came from the center. Doesn't matter if it's spinning. It's going to throw you off if it's got centrifugal force, which doesn't because it's not spinning. It's
Can
not
you answer?
spinning. We're not spinning 1,000+ miles an hour at the equator.
When you don't say done, Gary.
Simple
done.
question. Which direction would it throw you off?
Well, I don't know. Which direction is it? Where are you going to be when it starts spinning?
It will throw you directly upward.
Well, what's upward in your model? Is that to the sides, or is that above the North Pole, or below the South Pole? Is it directly east or directly west? Are those up? You know, it's like, come on, Bob. Let's just say if it's spinning like you guys claim, and it would have to have centrifugal force, which you guys do say is there, because that's why you say there's a bulge at the center of the Earth.
Right, Gary, you're too
So
confused.
if it could cause a bulge, it would definitely throw you off.
Gary, if you
Have
don't
you
know
ever
what direction,
skied, Bob? Have you ever
He
water
didn't say
skied, Bob?
done. He didn't say done, NASA.
Have you ever water skied, Bob?
Done.
In what
Right?
direction, Gary?
Have you ever water skied, Bob?
No, you don't, Gary, because you're going to keep asking as he attempt to answer you. I
done.
just
I
want to
asked
make
the
sure.
question.
You ask the question now, you got to wait for an answer. When he starts speaking, you cannot interrupt him, okay? Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, it would throw you directly upward.
Water skiing would throw you directly upward.
I'm not talking about water skiing. We're talking
Well, that was the question. Answer the question, or we don't proceed with you. That's that simple. I asked the question. I knew you weren't going to answer it. That's why I asked it again. Jose gets upset.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
Bob's gonna go
Ask the
ahead
question
and I'll
again.
answer
Ask the question one more time. There's no need to colorful commentary what's going on. No need to narrate what's going on. We all listening what's going on. Go ahead. Ask again.
I asked Bob if he's ever water skied.
Oh, that's it? That question? I haven't. I never water skied.
No,
I
I'm
don't
asking
think
Bob.
I'm going to
Let's
answer.
say the answer is no.
Let's say no. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just say no.
What will change if he say yes or
He
no?
wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what happens when the boat starts turning in a circle with the water skier hanging.
So you think he never seen any videos and stuff, right? Movies and videos and stuff, right? About it.
I'm water skiing, dude. They try
So
to
we
throw
wouldn't
you
know.
off by turning
So
circles.
if I see people fishing in a pier and setting up the fish pole and the hooks and all this stuff, and I see him fishing, I don't know what he's fishing. I don't know what it's like because I never gone fishing. I don't know how to do it.
But some of you might have gone skiing before, water skiing, and you know that if the boat starts turning in a circle, it's like a fun game that we'll do sometimes. You start turning in a circle, and you see how long you can stay up, because it will literally send you flying.
Look, a squirrel.
That's to
Tommy
decide.
Grumble. Tommy Grumble, he gave me a big 50 Nokia Super Chat. 50 Nokia Super Chat. Have Gary ever seen water spraying off the hub of a bike wheel while cycling in the rain? Why
Yes.
not? Oh. Okay. There you go.
So that's the question.
Yeah. He asked, that's a fair question, while you're cycling in the rain, and why not? He
So
didn't ask why.
Is the water flying off the wheel, or is it sticking to it like glue?
How fast is the wheel rotating?
Can we answer every question with a question?
Well, put it this way: if it's
Yeah.
not rotating and you just left
Yes,
it, it'll drip down to the bottom on it.
Let's see how far we get. That'll be fun.
I've got an interesting question.
Go for it.
What's in the center of a golf ball?
The core.
A little core ball, a little core.
And you know that for a fact because you've cut one open?
Actually, I find them all the time in the feed. They come from, I don't know how they get there, unless there's a golf course somewhere, but I see them all the time. I got a little, actually, I do have a little collection in my truck of golf ball cores.
Of golf ball cores?
Yes.
Interesting.
They're little balls.
How about the inside of a softball?
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Softball would be probably material.
All right. How about the inside of a basketball?
Air.
Okay. Do you know those things for fact?
Yes, I've had a basketball, and I know what air is inside. There's nothing else inside. I have golf ball cores, so I know they're solid. They're spongy, kind of. They're kind of hard.
All right.
Spongy.
If you see a concrete ball, do you know what's
What?
on the inside of it? If you have a ball made of concrete or granite, do you know for certain what's inside of that?
If I break it open.
No, not breaking it open, just looking at it.
Okay, no, I wouldn't know for certain, Bob. You might put something in there and try to trick me.
So you wouldn't know for certain what was inside that granite ball.
Could be an egg.
No,
Could
Bob.
be an egg in the middle, Gary.
Unless I put it together, I wouldn't know what you did to it. No, you're right.
Imagine there's an egg inside.
Would it change the fact that it's
Probably
a ball?
marshmallow.
Sorry,
Would it
Bob.
change the fact?
Why don't you
Hold
just
on,
get
hold
to
on.
your
Let me
point, Bob? You
hear.
have no point.
He's on it. Yeah, he was getting to a point. You interrupted me. Go, Bob.
If you don't know what's at the core of a ball, does it change the fact it's a ball?
That it's round? No.
No.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
What's that got to do with anything?
No, it was just a side quest,
Another
a side
argument.
quiz.
That's just another argument against the globe Earth that we don't know exactly what's in the core of the Earth. Doesn't change the fact the Earth's still a globe.
Ooh,
Okay, Bob.
He got you,
Good
Gotti.
one,
He
huh?
got you. He got you, Gotti.
I'm going to go to bed miserable tonight because I just don't know what to do with that.
Got you, man. That's true.
At least I know. At least I can take some comfort that I understand that I don't have to steer my car for Coriolis.
You
all
do
good, it's
actually,
all
but
good.
you'll
No,
notice
I
it.
don't.
Yes,
No,
you
I
do.
don't.
Yes, you
No,
do.
okay.
Yes, you do.
If that makes you feel better. If that
Actually,
makes
you
you feel
do.
better.
Let me ask the Stingray, what do you think about that example about the balls on the core not knowing? Is that a solid argument, you think? You know, that something is a sphere or a ball? Because if I don't know how something is made, that thing is still made and it's like in front of me, even though I don't know what's in the center of it. Doofus, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it's a solid argument, except for the basketballs. It's not solid.
Right.
I think Bob got all flustered at the beginning when I knew what was inside a golf ball.
Just out of curiosity.
Ask me if I've ever seen one.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Other than that, he got all flustered.
Just out of curiosity, because we can't accurately describe the exact cause of gravity, does that mean it doesn't exist?
You can't prove it does one way or the other.
Actually, we can, but that's okay.
No, you can't. I know that's nice.
Yes,
That's
we
a
can.
cute story.
We need to know the
Okay,
exact.
but you can't. Does it push or pull, Bob? Does it push or pull?
Pulls.
Do we need to know the exact cause of it?
Is it a force, Bob?
Yeah.
Is it a
Yes.
force?
You're too fast, Gary. You're too fast. You gotta let him
Yes.
breathe the question and try to answer it. You cannot back to back.
Bottom line is, we don't need to know the cause of something for it to exist. Period.
Okay. That makes you happy.
About the comments about the balls was inside. Thanks, Bob. I just wanted to say thanks, Bob, for.
Good one.
Yeah, different, Bob.
yeah, but still thanks, Bob. Good. Man, Tiger Woods never accounts for Coriolis in his shots, so therefore it doesn't exist. Is that a good argument, Gary? You think because the golfers do they account on Coriolis, or because they don't count on Coriolis, it doesn't exist?
That whole thing was just silly. It doesn't even deserve a response. So
I've got
Well,
a nice question.
Stingray. Stingray, go ahead, man.
And I am genuinely interested in this. But finding the inside of golf balls in cattle feed, is that not incredibly harmful to the cattle?
No, cows can eat about anything.
No, that's where Gary
No,
knows
they-
about that. Is that true, Gary?
the cows, as big as they are very picky about what they eat.
Pigs eat more shit than the cows.
Oh, so
I know
they-
that.
The cow, I find them in what's remaining after the cows have eaten. You can walk along mangers and you'll find all kinds.
But they
of
can
stuff.
eat beef.
Cows
They can eat
vagina.
beef, right? If you're serving a filet mignon, they'll eat it. They eat the shit. out of it.
They might if you could mix it in their feed.
You see them in the
Cannibalism. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, NASA. Stingray
you see them in the
is almost
feed
there.
trays, or when you say you see them after what the cows eat, or you see them in the feed trays, or you see them in the other, the other end.
No, you see them in the mangers. They leave it behind. They don't eat it.
I was wondering if they ate it and like passed it, shall we say?
No. I mean, I'm not saying that's not possible. But
Yeah.
more than likely
Go ahead. You had a follow up, Stingray?
Yeah, you get a discount on the feed because of that, right?
No, this comes in cannery waste. Well, I don't know if some of those places are next to where they have, like golf courses or I don't know.
Driving range.
Yeah, well, golf courses, driving range. But I find them fairly often. I've got probably a dozen or so sitting in my truck that I just pick up. I don't know why I keep them, but.
Well, my uncle used to have pigs, and they ate pretty much any food, including trees and leaves and shit like. I mean, not trees, like leaves, stuff and weeds and.
Yeah, the only thing they'll accidentally pick up is metal once in a while, but the feed trucks nowadays have large magnets in them that usually catches anything that's in the feed that's magnetic like that. So.
Gotta check on the food. I'll be back in a second.
Yep. I reminded you of food.
Pigs will eat just about anything. I don't care.
So, speaking about cannibalism, I learned
Supposedly those are vegan nuggets there.
Yeah, no, but speaking about that, I learned, I think I heard it on a radio show, that a single chicken can be responsible for up to 40 McDonald's chicken nuggets because of the lack of chicken in the chicken nuggets.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
That's probably true. Chickens will eat anything too, practically.
Yep. Yeah, they're not fussy either.
Thank God they haven't got teeth.
I always said a chicken would be the ultimate monster if it was giant. They'd be scary.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up something earlier.
Wait a minute,
I know it's all nice and calm now, and it's not a shit show, and I'm sorry it's about to turn into one. But Gary, there's one principle that's easy to demonstrate. I don't know if you've got the time or the resources to do, but if you find a merry-go-round, or as some countries call them, a roundabout, and attach a weight to a string, and attach that string to one of those handlebars on the merry-go-round, and spin that around for a couple of minutes at a constant rate until that settles. What it will do is the string will settle in one orientation with respect to that handlebar. So when you say things like it should swing on its own on something that's rotating, that's not actually true. It should come to a new rest position.
And I don't understand what you're trying to get at.
Well, just that it's not supposed to start swinging on its own, like a Foucault pendulum is not supposed to start swinging on its own. They'll just come to a different rest position.
Well, the merry-go-round the string won't do anything unless you start spinning it. But if it spins, it will definitely send the string outward, right? Centrifugal force. Well, I'm just saying, if the Earth is actually spinning, it should start up the pendulum on its own, and it should maintain at a steady pace. If the Earth is turning at a steady pace, like you guys claim, that should have a steady pace, and you should have the same thing constantly moving without any human manipulation.
We just contradicted yourself there, Gary. Because
I didn't.
If it's attached to the merry-go-round, and the merry-go-round is going at a steady pace for a couple of minutes, that weight on that string will find a new rest position slightly more outward. And you agreed to that part, and then you said later that it would start swinging on its own and maintain a steady rate of swing, which is also not true.
No, that's not what I said. You totally misinterpret everything like that, but that's normal. I'm used to that from you guys. If the merry-go-round, that string and whatever is attached to the end of the string will sit there at rest if the merry-go-round isn't moving. But if the merry-go-round starts moving at a steady pace and it maintains that pace, the string will go out to a certain point and maintain that point as long as that merry-go-round keeps turning at the same. If it starts to increase, then that string will go out a little further, and it'll
but then that's not swinging.
And the faster you go until it's practically straight out. So,
but that's not swinging. It's in a new rest position.
When it's
yes, but
going to
it's
start swinging.
yes, but the fact is, it would have to. The only reason it can do anything is if it's spinning.
Well, it's spinning.
But it's not swinging.
Otherwise, it'll be at rest. And I'm just saying, your pendulum will be at rest because the Earth isn't spinning unless you manipulate it.
But wait, Gary, you just agreed that it will be
By
at
starting
rest
it out,
if it's
by
spinning.
starting it and restarting it.
Gary,
It doesn't
you
maintain
just agreed.
It doesn't maintain anything.
Gary, you just agreed that it will be at rest whether it's spinning or not spinning. So how do you conclude it's not spinning?
No, I said if the Earth is not spinning, if the Earth is at rest, then the pendulum will not spin unless you put it up on a thing and you start it spinning, and then it'll run out of energy and it'll stop, and then you got to restart it.
Let's go back to
The merry-go-round won't do anything either unless you start spinning the merry-go-round.
No, the merry-go-round is spinning. You agreed that it will find a rest position and won't move. So how do you conclude that we are not spinning?
Okay, so you say that because the Earth is spinning, your pendulum should just stay at one point. That's if you want to make the equivalent here,
right.
then your pendulum shouldn't change anything, but it keeps turning, right?
That's what it does.
Okay, well then you can't equivalate those two things at all.
Why not?
Because if you turn the one will stay at one thing. It won't change.
It's not if
unless
you
you
turn.
change the
It's
speed.
already turning.
If the pendulum is turning because of the Earth, and that's what you're going to equivalate it, then that pendulum should just sit one spot, right? It should be part way out and just kind of sitting there, but it's not. And it won't start on its own. But the string, you don't have to do anything on a merry-go-round. If you start spinning that merry-go-round, the string will start going outward without touching that string.
Right, and it will stay outward wherever.
Yes, you won't have to restart it when it stops because it will not stop as long as that merry-go-round maintains its circle.
You don't have to.
Well, the pendulum, you do have to start and restart.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
Why?
Unless you put a motor on it.
If you want it swinging, so same goes the merry-go-round. If you want it swinging on the merry-go-round, you will have to give it a push on the merry-go-round, so it will start spinning. Otherwise, it will stay in some position. You're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not contradicting myself at all.
That it's spinning or not? Because in both cases, it will not change.
Because the centrifugal force would cause the string to start going outward on the merry-go-round when the merry-go-round.
The merry-go-round, you came and you see a merry-go-round that is spinning, and the string is already at some position.
Well, you'll see the string go out if you're there watching.
No, you won't see it go out because it's already out.
No, if you start the merry-go-round, you'll see the string go out.
I'm not starting the merry-go-round.
It'll maintain one position, and it will maintain one position without changing as long as you maintain the speed. According to you, the Earth is turning at a certain speed, right? So now that contradicts what you're saying because your pendulum's swinging back and forth, and it can't start on its own, even though the Earth is already supposed to turn. You have to physically start it. It runs out of energy, so you have to restart it.
Right.
You can't equivalent.
How do I contradict myself and not you, Gary?
How am I contradicting myself? I'm just saying.
Because on your merry-go-round, when you come and see
should be Gary, send it out to one spot and it should just sit there.
Gary, if you come to the merry-go-round and it's spinning, you didn't see it start spinning. You came in, it's already spinning. And the pendulum is already at some position, it will not start by itself. If you want to start it swinging, you'll have to give it a push.
Well, put it this way,
like
Chuck.
you do
Let's say I'm standing on the merry-go-round and it's turning, and now I tie the string to it. What will happen? Do I have to start the string, or is it just going to shoot out because of centrifugal force?
Yes, it will just shoot out.
Yeah, because of centrifugal force, right?
Yeah.
The string has to respond.
Yeah.
But the pendulum doesn't respond to anything. You have to actually.
How do you know? How do you know
and
it doesn't
restart it.
respond?
And restart it. Have you ever seen a
What do
pendulum
you
start
mean
on
it
its own?
doesn't respond? How do you know?
Unless you put it on a rotating table and start rotating the table, it's going to sit there. But if you start rotating the table that it's on,
Gary, we
yeah,
live on a globe,
then
not
it'll
on a
start
flat
spinning
pizza
outward.
Earth.
Centrifugal force.
Gary, we live on a globe, not flat pizza Earth.
Well, we don't live on a globe, and it's not a flat pizza
we do.
either. It's not a flat pizza either. Gary, It's a huge thing that has boundaries. Gary, I would like to Water's ask you a flat. question. The ground isn't. Gary, can I ask you a question, please? Based on our model, how fast should Earth rotate for us to reach 0G? Based on our model, how fast should Earth rotate to reach 0G?
I have no idea. I just know on reality,
Don't
it doesn't have to rotate, and there is no G.
Fly away.
On a rotating Earth, you should,
have
yes.
to rotate once every 90 minutes to reach 0G at equator.
Oh,
once
okay.
every 1.5
Whatever.
hour. We should
You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. Lugo.
Surface speed is over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator.
still
Deal with
not
it. You
enough
got to just deal with it. Stop
still
using
not
your
enough.
bullshit math to
It's
try to
not
make it sound like
enough.
it's nothing. I know you guys
So-
like to make it sound like it's nothing because you know it's flat and motionless,
don't
and so
know anything
you're trying to
about
make your math
bullshit.
sound the same way, like it's flat and motionless. That's
Gary,
basically what your math does.
doesn't
people talking at the
in
same
such a
time.
manner that it appears flat and motionless.
Gary, the fact you can't do math doesn't make it bullshit.
I don't have to do math to know it's bullshit.
Of course you don't, because it makes your life easy and you can spew nonsense all the
my
time.
life is easy because I understand that we're not moving. I can see that we're not moving. I can see the star paths across the sky always in the same place, which means we're not orbiting the sun. I can see Polaris staying in its little teeny circle that it makes, never changing, always staying there, even though supposedly we're orbiting the sun. But nope, it stays at the same place. Even though we could just go a little south or north and it changes where we see it on the horizon. But 186 million miles to the other side of the sun, we don't see nothing.
Yeah, keep
Because-
in mind that all of those statements that you just made do not contradict the globe model as it exists. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, I don't know why you.
No, I know
steer
you got to
away
pretend
from
that.
the fact.
But the problem with your globe model is Polaris isn't big enough to have parallel lines meet the same point on one side of the sun as on the other side of the sun, because 186 million miles is considerably longer distance than the 44 million mile diameter of Polaris that you claim. So even though if it moved to the other side of the sun, 44 million, you got multiple ones. You wouldn't have parallel lines on one side of the sun compared to the other every 6 months. It's not possible.
I don't know what are you talking about. We were talking
That's why.
about
That's
right,
why.
like how fast we.
That's why Hawkins' model's all screwed up.
Stop. You are steering away from the fact that you don't know how to calculate centrifugal force, but you claim that we should fly away by it. I don't know. We should spend 1.5 hour each time, every day. 1.5 hour would be 1 day. Okay, then you would reach 0G. And you know what spins? What go around every 90 minutes around Earth? All the low Earth orbits satellites. They go around, including ISS, including Chinese space station. They go between 80 and 90 minutes around the Earth once.
Yeah, I don't have a
That's
problem with
when
that.
you reach 0G. Okay, so don't talk bullshit about we should fly away. Gravity is much stronger than
0G.
Daddy, you're talking bullshit, he's saying.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not
of
talking
course.
bullshit. 0G is that when he talks about 0G, he's assuming there was G in the first place. There wasn't, and there isn't.
Yeah. Take it for granted.
Everywhere is
every
zero
time-
G to Gary.
Gary, every time you speak, it's nonsense.
Well, there is no gravity, so yeah, I guess you could say that's 0G. There is no gravity. It's just
That's pretty
density
fucked,
and
Gary.
buoyancy and things maintaining their level through that.
Yeah, when I
Depending on
climb
it,
the mountain, it's
as long as they're
magic
not
that holds me on
restrained
the
and
ground.
free to move, they will find their equilibrium.
They find that at acceleration.
Strangely enough, when I climb mountain, I have to really force myself to go up the stairs. But when I go down, I don't know. It's like something is pulling me down. I don't know. What is it, Gary?
Your weight.
So
Weight
what
is harder to
weight?
lift
Can you
up than it is
calculate
to
weight?
down.
How do you calculate
You ever
weight?
lift weights? Picking up a weight is heavy.
Mass
Letting it down
multiplied
is simple.
gravitational acceleration. Mass
No, it's just the
multiplied
weight, and
gravitational
the air
acceleration.
won't support the weight. So the only support of the weight when you're lifting it is your
How do you
muscles.
calculate? How do you
I don't have
calculate
to calculate it.
the
That's
weight
just common
of
sense.
the ball that is made of iron, and the ball is 10 centimeters in diameter? How do you calculate that?
I don't have to calculate it.
Well, then you don't have to. So you can just spill bullshit out of your mouth.
No, I just
without
know
any
the
proof
weight
or
actually has
calculation.
mass, and the air won't support it. So if you let go of it, it will fall to the ground.
How fast? Calculate.
Until it reaches the solid
if you
ground,
put
and
the
it can't
ball-
fall any further because it's
If you
less dense than the
calculate.
ground.
Put the steel ball 10 meters high. Calculate how
Yes.
fast it will fall on the ground. Calculate.
How fast it falls has nothing to do with gravity. It's just how fast it will fall. Wonder if I let it fall
how
and then it
fast? Tell
reaches
me,
water. I want it to hit the
calculate it.
bottom of the lake. I let it go
Calculate
from a
how
bridge.
fast,
It hits the
and then
water,
do
but it's going to
experiment.
go to the ground at the bottom of the lake. Does it change
So how
speeds?
fast? Answer the
Does
question.
it change speed?
How fast it will reach
Will
the
it change
ground?
speed?
Calculate.
Would it
How
change
fast?
speed?
I'm asking you.
Would it change speed?
Of course.
It's
It's got
accelerating.
Okay,
acceleration.
so that's perfect. That works perfectly with what I'm saying. That it's just density and buoyancy, and its surroundings, its medium that it's going through. If it's just air, it goes a certain speed. If it hits the water, now it goes to a different speed.
Okay, so based on density, something that is twice denser than steel ball should fall down twice fast, yes?
The what?
For example, there is 1 kilogram of a steel ball, yeah? 1 kilogram steel ball. And there is a 2 kilogram of something else the same size. I don't know, for example, lead. And then you drop it down. Then based on your assertion, if the steel ball is twice half of the density of the other ball, they should fall at half speed, yes?
No. They're just falling through the air.
Because you said based on density, yes?
No, I said density and buoyancy.
So what's buoyancy of the
Okay,
steel ball?
they're both more dense than the air, so they're both going to go through the air at the same rate, right?
But
they're going to hit the ground, which is more solid and dense than all of them put together, and they're going to stop.
Something twice dense should be accelerating twice
No,
faster.
because the air below it, below either one, is less dense than both, so it's going to fall at the same rate.
Yeah,
Difference in density is twice as
it's
much,
absolute. Once you over the certain density, then it's like equal. Yeah, very explaining the world around us, Gary. What you say, we learn.
I'm sorry,
a lot. What you say is explaining the world around us very accurately.
Well, it works perfectly in our idea of what the Earth is too.
Well, I don't know how it works. You didn't tell us.
Because the air is less. The air isn't as dense as either ball that you're dropping, so they're both going to slice right through the air until they hit another medium.
For us, using your model.
It works perfectly, and you can measure the speed. You don't have to include gravity at all.
Calculate.
You just want to pretend it's there, and you give it some kind of an equation, and then you're all happy, and you clap your hands and wiggle your toes.
Keep in mind, Gary, that when you say buoyancy, you're actually requesting the use of gravitation. Buoyancy requires gravitation.
I know you like to pretend it's there.
Thank you, Gary. Buoyancy requires gravitation in order to occur because buoyancy is describing the difference in pressure, the upward force that objects are being pressed on, the pressure that's on them is upward. That buoyant force cannot occur unless the medium that object is in is under acceleration.
Well, that's just silly because I can have a little fish tank and drop a ball in. All it does is displaces water and pushes water out. So the water will go up a little bit while the ball's sitting on the bottom.
Okay,
It's just displacement. It doesn't take any gravity. It's just displacement.
In your fish tank,
yes,
is there a different pressure at the top of the water or at the bottom of the fish tank?
It doesn't matter because the ball that you're dropping,
because it throws
whatever
gravity.
it's made out of, as long as it's not hollow and more buoyant than the
doesn't
water.
matter for you because it proves gravity. If you scuba
No,
dive,
you will have different pressure. You will have higher pressure on the lower down, but it doesn't matter because the ball is heavier than it displaces the water, and the water will actually push away and up, and it will rise the water level in your fish tank if you drop lead balls in it.
Right, Gary, there's a problem though, because buoyant force is upward. If I stick something in there
That
that's
would
more
be
dense,
buoyant. Yeah, that would be making them more buoyant than the lead ball, which would displace them and push water in all directions. And
You know what he was saying? You know what he was gonna say, Gary? Because you didn't let him finish at all.
Jeez.
He didn't even begin
right.
to say what he was gonna say.
Well, he'd already
So-
said it once.
No, I actually didn't get to finish. All right, so if I stick something in that fish tank that happens to be more dense than water, and it goes down, the problem is that there's pressure. There's a force, an net upward force due to buoyancy that's pushing upward on that object, and it still goes down. So in order for that to occur, in order for the object to move downward, some force needs to be present in the system somewhere in order for that object to move down.
Well, the weight of the thing that you put in that was more dense than the water, and it goes down and displaces the less dense, more buoyant water. That's why the water
So
level
you
will
see
go
how-
up in the tank after you drop some iron balls in it or steel balls or whatever they are. It
You
just
see
it's
how there has to be a
displacement.
downward force still.
It's just displacement. It's the mass and weight of the
Displacement is not a
ball
force.
going to the bottom, and it's more dense than the water. It's going to displace water and push it upward. Doesn't mean the water got all of a sudden more buoyant. It's just that it's not more buoyant than the lead ball or steel ball or iron ball or whatever you dropped in there.
Again, displacement is not a force, Gary.
Displacement does act like a force. It's not a force, but
buoyancy
it does
is a
act like a force. It's going to push things. If it's not restrained, it's going to push things out of the way. If it's more dense, it's going to go down to the bottom level wherever it can until it's restrained. It's going to push other things that are less dense out of the way.
Gary,
Buoyancy is a force. Displacement is not a force.
Well, displacement is what causes the buoyant force.
Gary, let's do an experiment when the object displaces the water down, not up. Should it gain weight then?
Should what gain weight?
The object that displaces the water, because it doesn't displace it up, it will displace it down.
No, it'll displace it in all directions, and then the ultimate level in the tank will go up because water's been displaced.
No, I will set it up in such a way that the water will be displaced down, not up. There will be no place for the water to displace up, only down.
Okay, tell us how you're going to do that, Jake. Tell us how you're going to do that, Jake.
The water tank will be full. And then
I got a quick comment.
If the water tank is completely full and then you put the iron ball in, it's got to displace water somewhere.
Right. I'll leave air pockets down. So the only way for the water
now you got air pockets, but you said it was full. You changed the whole thing. Now suddenly it's not full; it has air pockets.
Talk and let talk, guys. Talk and let talk.
Well, Chike, he doesn't even know how to set up his experiment.
Talk and let talk is what matters.
Well, I said it. I'll leave air pockets down. So the only way for the water to displace will be down, not up.
Yeah, but the water's been displaced.
What should happen then?
The water's been displaced because the more dense thing pushed water around, and it's going to fill whatever space is there because it can't go up anymore because you're full. But you weren't full because you had a pocket.
The water will be displaced down, not up. This case.
Only because you have a sealed top according to you, and it's full.
Right. Absolutely right. So what
Right,
should
it just
happen to the
displaces
weight?
water.
So
But
the
that
weight
water
of
is
the,
what is a
so
steel
the
ball going to fill
weight,
that pocket? Nope.
so the weight of the object should increase because the water were displaced down, not up in this case.
The water. I said the water will go in all directions, but it'll ultimately fill the line up in the water tank. That's what I said.
Why does it lose weight, which is in one direction only?
What?
Should remain the same. Why does the object lose weight when you put it in the water?
Well, because you have some buoyancy around there that's pushing you
Why
around.
do you have buoyancy?
You just displaced because if you drop a ball,
You said in all directions.
yes, that's why
do
it'll
you
fill your
lose
air
weight
pockets.
in one direction?
If you're leveled, if your top is already full, although that can't really happen, I don't think. Well, no, I guess you can have an air pocket. You can create one, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just going to displace the water. The water's going to go where it can, because it can't go to the top anymore. But the water, because you dropped it, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It's being pushed away from the ball, and it's going to fill the pockets.
Good, but you said it
was displaced
in all directions. In all
Well,
directions.
yes, it
Why
will.
does
It will
it
go.
lose? Why
Oh,
does
my
it
God.
lose weight, which is only in one direction?
Okay, Chikey, if I have a mud puddle and then I put a big ball in the middle, will the water move outwards too?
Gary, I asked you a question. Why
I'm
does
asking
it
you a
lose
question.
weight?
If I put that
Why
ball
does
in
it lose
it's an
weight
open
if
mud
it
puddle, I
displaces
put
the
the ball in the
water
middle of the
in
mud
all?
puddle. Which direction will the water go?
Gary,
All directions?
my question was asked first, and it wasn't answered.
Yeah,
Since the
no, I've answered
water are
it. Hold on. If you
displaced
have
in all
if you
directions.
have a pocket of air in there, the water will displace because it can't go up. It's going to force that water somewhere else, which will fill your pockets. It's displacement.
Since the water are displaced in all directions, why do we look? Why the
I
object?
said the water displaced in all directions, and in the fish tank, it will also go up on the side of the tanks
So
because
why
it's going to
does
push it
the
all out.
object?
It's going to fill the available space. It's going to go up. You said your
Gary.
tank is full, but you left air pockets, so it's going to fill the air
Gary.
pockets because it has to go somewhere. It's being
Gary,
displaced.
the question is, if the water displaced in all directions, why do you lose weight, which is only in one direction?
Shout out to RT96 for being a member for 8 months. He posted a quote by Gary Huevenga 2022, and quote, "It's not a force, but it acts like a force." Shout out to RT.
That's funny.
Well, it just pushes things around. Yeah.
That's what they say. That's what they've been saying all the time. Gravity is, I mean, I understand that it's not a force, okay, by paper and people say and think that, but it does act like a force, measure like a force, observe. all
Well,
the good
and the weight will create the force. If there's nothing to
Whatever,
hold it,
yeah,
it's going to
No.
drop and find its equilibrium and force things out of the way. So you
No.
can call it a force.
Well, yes.
No,
So
that's not
now
what a
the
force
weight is
is.
creating the force.
That's not what a
No,
force
the weight
is.
is creating a force. If you let go of it in a fish tank and it falls down to the bottom, it's creating a force pushing
No,
water in all
that's not what a
directions.
force is.
It does create that is a force.
No,
Right.
you don't even
Hold
know
on.
the definition of a force. It's
Hold on
That is a
second.
force.
Hold on a second, because
Well, yours is a force is nothing. It doesn't do anything.
Hold on, Gary. Doofus is on.
Right, because weight itself is already a force, and he's just moving that to another location. And so it's technically a force because weight is a force. He's just being weird about it.
No, that's what I just said, and you guys all denied it.
Yeah, but the question is, how do you
So
calculate
thanks for
weight?
confirming.
Right,
Weight is
I
just
was actually
mass.
going to get. I
Mass
was
with
going to get back to the
intensity.
original point, which was
The weight.
Mass times acceleration.
A mass that has density and it's a weight.
Force equals mass times acceleration.
No, it doesn't have
Yes.
to.
Yes, it does.
No.
Actually,
Well,
yes.
the acceleration will cause the force, but the force itself will be the weight going through the less dense air.
Weight is the force. Weight equals mass times
Yeah,
acceleration.
that's what I said. Weight is the force.
That's correct. Mass times
And
acceleration.
when there's nothing holding it up, it's going to slice through what's less dense
Because
and
of
less
mass
buoyant.
times acceleration. That's correct.
No, it'll just create more acceleration because it's falling.
No,
Not
it
being
doesn't create
restrained.
acceleration. The acceleration.
Just Google it. How do you calculate the force?
Well, if the weight is sitting on you, you will believe it's a force, even if it's not moving.
That's because it has mass times acceleration.
If I put a 500-pound barbell on your chest, it's just sitting there. Is it a force?
Yeah, it's still being accelerated toward the center of the Earth at 9.81 meters per second.
Oh my gosh, it ain't moving, dummy.
I know it's not, but it's pushing against you at 9.81 meters per second.
It's accelerating. Yeah, because gravity's accelerating.
Gary, that's called a balanced force.
Time,
the weight
going
of the
towards
object
the center of the
is
Earth.
balancing against the force that would have it move in the first place. That's a balanced force.
Yeah, Gary, if you drink one pint of beer, will your feet register that you are heavier?
If I drank a pint of beer?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it?
Will your feet register that you are heavier?
No.
No, that's the centrifugal force you should feel at the equator.
Oh my goodness.
There's
Okay.
a difference.
You evidently haven't been behind skis that are turning in a circle. Okay. Centrifugal force is quite a force.
I was going to get back to mine.
They use a centrifuge to separate cream from the rest of the milk.
It's not a force, though. It's the same. It's a emergent force. It's a fictitious force.
You can call it whatever you want. It's a force. You're going to fly off something.
So is gravity.
You're going to fly. If you're not hanging on the merry-go-round, somebody starts spinning it, you're going to fly off it.
Yeah, so is Coriolis, so is gravity. They're all emergent forces.
I got a comment. Over here. I got a comment. Mandeville has figured it out. He say this theory is called Weibenga's acceleration neutral kinetics. Or can we use the acronym by it, which is WANK. The Weibenga acceleration neutral kinetics. Good one, Mandeville.
It's very wanting. I'll give them that.
Shenanigans. All of it. Go ahead, Doofus.
Yeah, I was going to try and get back to my original point about buoyancy. So buoyant force, we know, is an upward force. That buoyant force, being an upward force, is as a result of the fluid that something is in having more pressure below and less pressure above. So that, of course, is a net upward force. Now, that net upward force can only exist if that fluid is undergoing some sort of acceleration, either reference frame acceleration or just plain old acceleration. Either one will do, because
which is caused by displacement.
Right, displacement is not a force, Gary.
Displacement moves things out of the way. If the thing is more dense than everything around it, it moves stuff around. Just like how about the balloon in the car thing? Why does the balloon move forward?
Same
when
reason.
the car accelerates forward.
Same reason the balloon rises.
Because the air moved backward with more force than the balloon moved backward.
The heavier, denser air moved to the back, right? Forcing the helium-filled.
I thought it was
you gotta let him talk. Yeah. Gary, I know you want to present your point, Gary, but not in the middle of Doofus just began to talk and you just rush through it. Doofus, go ahead.
Right, just cut in while I'm already talking. Thank you. So the air moved backward with more force than the balloon moved backward. So the air moved the balloon forward because it was pushed backward more.
Which is the same reason that balloons go up in the atmosphere.
No, the balloon was filled with helium, right? It was attached to the floor on a stick or a string or something, a string, I believe. Okay. So the car is sitting there and then it accelerates. Now all the air inside the car is thrown backwards, right? Because the car, or it doesn't have to be thrown backwards. It's the car is accelerated, so it's going to make it seem like the air is thrown backwards. And then that air is more dense than the helium that's in the balloon. So that denser air gets thrown to the back, which displaces the helium balloon, moving it forward.
Excellent. You understand that. So now you understand why balloons go up in the atmosphere. This is the same reason.
Right.
Yep. Yes, it's less dense than the air, so that's displacement. It's being displaced, pushed up.
Because of the acceleration.
Not a force, Gary.
Because it accelerates because it's being pushed up by the rest of the air being heavier. It forces it out. It's like it's getting squeezed upward.
Why doesn't
for
it
lack of a
keep
better
going
way of
up
saying it.
continuously? Why doesn't it keep going up and up
Well,
until it doesn't?
it'll reach a place of equilibrium and then it stops. Just like if you have a
Because it's
helium balloon in
lighter.
your house for a few days, after a few days, the first few days it sticks to the ceiling. After a few
So it
days,
will find
it
equilibrium
starts
on.
hanging there slightly below because it's losing helium.
Yes. So you find equilibrium, and then because above it is a lot lighter, a lot less material, right? Matter.
No, it can't go farther down because what's below it is more dense than it.
There's more air, more molecules of air, more stuff down here. Yeah.
Why?
Well, it just wants to go down because that's the way we were created. We live on an earth that was created by God, heavens above, earth's beneath, and He created everything to find their equilibrium in this world. That's how it works.
Lubo, let him rant. When he's on just the rant scatter going, you gotta let him do it. If you keep interrupting, he'll keep going. He'll never stop. We gotta let him rant. That's the way it is.
I want to address the thing that he said earlier about it has to rest on something more dense. Well, that's not true. You can stick a steel ball on top of styrofoam, and that's fine.
I would like to address the balloon point, if I can. Can I?
I don't know. I was hoping he would respond to the steel ball on top of styrofoam thing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the modern cars, many modern sports cars, they have gravimeters, accelerometers actually. So they show you how much G force you get. Yes. So the funny thing is, the more you accelerate, the more force, the more the balloon moves. So gravimeters and accelerometers are actually the same thing.
Hot
and they
mic,
measure the
Stefan.
same thing.
Stefan Mod, hot mic. You gotta mute yourself, brother.
Oh, sorry.
No, mute. It should be somewhere in there. The little microphone icon. Press it. You're looking for it. It's looking for it. You know, Stefan, in the Daily Bugon Sensor, let us know when you're got it sorted out, and I'll mute you. Go, guys.
So the new sports cars or the hypercars, they have accelerometers inside. They measure the gravity and measure the force of acceleration. And the more you accelerate, it shows you on the screen of the car how much you accelerate. You get the G-force, yes. So the more you accelerate, the more the balloon moves forward, yes. Gary, am I right? Is he here?
Probably busy or offended when I say he was scattergun ranting.
Yeah, anyway, am I right or not?
Sorry, I was looking at something else for a minute. What was the question?
Yeah, new sports cars or the hypercars, they have the accelerometers built in the car, so they can show you how much G-force your body will receive. So when you accelerate more, the balloon moves forward more. When you accelerate less, the balloon moves less. Am I right or not?
Yes, special cars.
Because
the
balloon will eventually equal out and go back to upright because once the car reaches a certain speed, it's just gonna all the air in the car is gonna balance out again, and you'll have your balloon straight
you
up
mean
and
when
down.
there's no acceleration, it is at equilibrium?
Well, acceleration creates basically you can call it, even if it's a straight line, it simulates like a centrifugal force. Centrifugal, I know, is a circle or an oval or whatever, but it's still the same kind of idea. It's acceleration from nothing that throws things backwards.
Emergent
How about
force.
if you
Very
keep
good. Thank you.
accelerating?
All right, if I could get a moment to hammer this home then. So while the car is under acceleration, the balloon finds a new direction which it wants to go in the conditions that it's in. Now, that acceleration was required in order for that to occur, which means buoyancy, in order for it to occur, requires acceleration.
The acceleration just caused the displacement of the air inside the car, and the heavy air was thrown to the back, pushed forward the lighter air, which is the helium in the balloon. That's displacement every time.
Or acceleration, as I said.
Well, the acceleration caused displacement. Just like if I put an iron ball in a fish tank, it accelerates to the bottom. And because it's heavier than everything around it, it pushes everything to all directions.
So why do you
Hold on.
think
There was no change in displacement throughout the change in acceleration. The change in
No,
acceleration
the
had
displacement
nothing
was
to
the
do with
heavy air getting
displacement,
thrown to
Gary.
the back. The displacement was when the car moved, it accelerated forward. The heavier air in the car was thrown backwards because it went from a standstill to an accelerating car. It gets thrown back, just like your head will get thrown back if you accelerate suddenly with a car with a lot of horsepower, right? Your head will get thrown back. The air will get thrown back, but the helium balloon, the helium is lighter than the air in the car, so it's going to get displaced. It can't go backwards. It's displaced moving it forward because the heavier air was thrown to the back, which displaces all the other stuff and moves it forward.
So at what angle will be balloon if you accelerate at the speed at the acceleration of 1g? What angle will be the balloon? If your acceleration is 1g, your car will show you 1g acceleration. What angle will be the balloon?
If you accelerate forward, the balloon's going to go forward.
No, what angle will be?
I don't know, and I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. Will it go forward? Will it be at an angle forward? Will it be at a forward angle? Will it be at a forward angle? Answer the question. Will it be at a forward angle? Will it angle forward?
You keep asking the question over and over again, Gary.
I know what
You're
I
not gonna
said. I
answer
said
the question.
earlier, but
He wants a
earlier,
precise
Gary,
measurement,
you're still
but the fact
talking. You're
is
still
it's gonna
talking.
angle forward.
You asked the question 4 times, like back to back to back to back, not even with a second in
Not
between.
going to answer.
Gary.
They're all jumping in.
All right, let's see. Let's
But
see
he
if
is
you're gonna
about to
answer.
answer.
All right, let's see. Go ahead, man. If you got an answer to the question that Gary asked 4 times in a row.
Yeah,
You want
for
to take that, Lubo, or me?
Yeah, you take it, please. I will just listen.
All right. Well,
Gary left.
let's say the car
Go
is
ahead.
accelerating forward at 1g, 9.8 meters per second squared. That balloon should be at a 45-degree angle forward. So yes, Gary, the answer is yes, it should be forward. But the reason why it's forward, and it's at 45 degrees specifically, is because that is undergoing acceleration in 2 directions equally. The downward acceleration that everything experiences here on Earth, and the acceleration of the car, 9.8 meters per second squared. That's why it's right at 45 degrees.
Who cares? The question is, why does Gary think that his relative density when it's up and down, but when the car accelerates, it's something else? How does those two combine to create this angle?
Well, to be fair, he said it was displacement, which is actually more nonsense.
Well,
because the displacement didn't change as the car accelerated. The displacement remained the same.
But we know whatever caused what caused the balloon to lean forward is the acceleration. We know that. So in one direction, in the x direction, it's acceleration. In the y direction, however, it's something different. It's relative density.
Well, I got some big money by Larry with a super chat. Thank you, Larry Scott. Appreciate that. Larry Scott, for those who don't know, is Larry Bro PS in the Discord. Gary, at sea level, air weighs 800 newtons per cubic meter. At 6,000 meters altitude, air weighs 550 newtons per square meter. Why the change in weight? Shout out to Larry. Good question, good point. Gary have left the building for today. If anybody
he got upset.
If anybody got a wrong answer, please say it, and then that will be Gary's answer.
It's because of displacement.
Magic.
There you go. You see, they're playing the game now. Well done, well done.
Right. He didn't want to actually have the explanation given to him. He wanted his "is it forward or not" question answered, even though we were actually giving him that answer. It's ridiculous. If we're already giving him the answer that he wants, but we're being more specific, he'll just storm off and leave.
Now I got some more big money by Stefan Mott this time. Stefan Mott doubling up what Larry just gave me. Larry gave me big money, and Stefan Mott just gave me big money with 100 Nokias. Thank you, Stefan Mott, for the support. Boom.
Each time he's cornered, he just leaves.
No, probably got upset. He got muted.
What interesting festivities today, yeah? I was very active moderating. I might have overstepped a little bit. Maybe some people will think I was micro-moderating, but I don't think so. I think I could have done more.
It's your show anyway.
Yeah, but it was okay. I mean, it was at least less shit show and a little more decent than others.
With Gary, you can't never do enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gary needs to be moderated. Otherwise, you will just keep ranting.
Yeah.
And he never
people
actually
do that.
listens what we say. Never actually think about what we say. He just keeps telling about his things, but he never actually thinks what the other people say. He just thinks how to respond to it. And if he cannot respond, he will either change the topic or just leave.
Next time, ask Gary to explain absolute gravity measurement. I would like to dig into that, to see what he means by absolute gravity measurement.
Gary does not believe in gravity.
So he doesn't have to explain it.
Yeah.
Right. Don't strawman him.
Yeah, good.
We don't have those effects because my position says so.
Yeah.
That's Gary's position.
Gary just hates human accomplishment. He hates all the academics that make all the technology that he surrounds himself with. He's on a fucking computer and says all of academia is wrong, and Gary is smarter than all of them. How fucked up is that?
Yeah, what I wanted to ask Gary is, where is it?
What happened with Gary leaving is I muted him after he asked the question 3 times, back to back, 3 or 4 times, that I tried to tell him, like, dude, you gotta leave a space in between. You ask a question, let him answer, but he just went like back to back, like on a broken record. So when I tried to tell him, he kept on talking, so I muted him so I can explain to him what happened. He cannot do that, and he just left. I guess he rage quit.
So I gave Gary this picture which claimed the observer wasn't at 1200 feet, and he identified the observer to be at what I marked as 274 feet. If that's the case, how come the 400 feet on the tower align with 292 foot at the turbine, which is almost twice the distance? In what world does Gary live that the further object that is lower rise up to the closer object that is closer if you're below the bottom?
Yeah, that's the opposite of drop from horizontal with respect to distance.
Right.
Yeah, the thing
rise to above eye level.
You could ask him before when you talked about the balls, what's inside the balls. I mean, Bob was talking. We could just ask, how does he know that a woman is pregnant? I'm not sure if he's married or not. How does he know if she's really pregnant or not? Does he have to cut her up? Or, to confirm that she's really pregnant? Or use ultrasound?
Oh, just see her belly button? Short life is very easy when you don't know math and you can't analyze what you see properly.
But I don't think he actually doesn't use the math. I'm pretty sure he has to calculate his diesel consumption for his tractor, or calculate how much do the cows weight, how much do they eat.
He just shoveled the hay or whatever.
At least the price, how much he gets paid, or like how many hours does he have to spend? Does he ever use this math?
I don't think it's his cows.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But, I mean, at least he has to know how much he gets paid per hour, so he has to use some math, no?
Maybe he doesn't, who knows?
Maybe. I would be his boss, maybe I would just... you know,
Yeah, you pay him
get some milk
whatever.
for yourself.
You
Get some
pay him
milk.
whatever. That's
Here is
it.
some bread. Eat. I don't know. Here's a phone you can use. Why do you need money? You don't need math. You don't need to calculate anything. Life is easier, huh? I can tell you in China, people, even in the countryside, they know how to calculate. They calculate every penny. They calculate everything. And you can see, like, people really care about math in China.
Nobody's
How
talking
many
to me.
people are watching?
For a second, are they?
Well, so quiet now.
Sí, señor. Let's get out of here. It's good for today. Over 2 hours, almost 3 hours stream. Solid. I want to thank everybody for coming in and being part of the festivities. Very excellent episode today. Shout out to the Squeaky Earth and the back. Let me squeak it.
Is that me, or his microphone is fading away?
Yeah, it was me. One of the frog feet was hanging, so I gotta fix it. But let's see if we can hear the Squeaky Earth. See what we got. Oh yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. It wasn't that annoying. I mean, I got the headphones on, so I heard half of the volume. They actually are.
I was wondering, do your neighbors ever complain about the squeaky sounds coming
Oh
from
no.
your house?
Oh no. They don't care. They're alright with that.
Yeah, they make much more noise than Jose.
Yes, indeed. Let's get some final thoughts. This time we'll begin. Hiccups. Carl Christopherson, if you're still there. Final thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the festivities today. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Chaik, final thoughts.
I think we should have stayed with quantum physics with Dan the Waterman. Would be, I think we would make more progress than discussing Coriolis with Garrett. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very appreciated, Chaik. Doofus Manfred, final thoughts.
Well, I find it interesting that you brought up Dan the Waterman just now, because he was posting stuff earlier about in the chat here about Mark Sargent saying the military doesn't account for Earth's rotation, which is hilarious since I already posted citations that say they do, and I myself personally did it. So I would love Dan to challenge me on that at some point when he ever musters up the courage to do so. And Gary saying displacement as a force is hilarious. That's not how physics works. Cheers.
Good times, man. Thank you very much. Larry Bro PS in the house. Final thoughts.
Oh, it just Gary is just he's just such a wreck, and Dan is just weird. I mean, Dan posted something he got from Garmin about their marine radar, and he's hanging his hat on that. And it says nothing, and in there it mentions multiple times curvature to the Earth, 8 inches per mile squared, height of the radar, height of your target, calculated 1.22 miles times square root of height, and all that good shit. So those guys just shoot themselves in the foot every time they open their mouths. I mean, as I said before, they surround themselves with technology, and they hate everyone that made it. So,
boom.
Boom.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Lubo in China. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm really sorry I made him to quit. I mean, he should know some math. And he said, no need math. You're happy. No math, happy. Little math. Oh, I'm happy. I have to leave. Just a little math. 1G, 45 degrees.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, anyway, I will have to wake up soon. The sun is going to get out. Yeah, anyway, good stream. Not over moderating, I'd say. I think it was just right. And yeah, have a good time.
Yeah, I'm not angry. This is just my face, for those who didn't know. Final thoughts by Hold On. Don't flirt. Just don't do it. No matter how you do it, you will still be the one everyone laugh at. Shout out to Hold On. And paid NASA Shield. Final thoughts. Thank you, Paid NASA Shield. Very well said, man. Thank you. Big shout out to Farmer's Boy for supporting me on PayPal. Judy Bassett, thank you for supporting me on PayPal. Shout out to the super chats. Stefan Mudd, Larry Scott, etc., etc. Thank you, everybody, for being a member of the channel. Thank you for checking up on me all the time. Everything is good. Let's get out of here. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go to the food bank again. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a show. It depends on what time I get home. Depends on what time I get home. It's on the mood and feels. So I might do a show tomorrow. Definitely hopefully on Sunday. I didn't look too angry today. My face is happy and I'm hungry, but I don't know. I'm pushing through it. Feel good. Thank you very much, everybody in YouTube land, in Discord land. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family and your close ones. And I recommend one movie from Tollywood movie. Not Bollywood. Bollywood is northern India. Tollywood is southern India. I just learned that after I watched the movie. One of the best, if not the best, action movie I have ever seen in my life. It resonated with me. I saw it a few days ago, and I still think about it. It's called RRR. If you can find it, I heard it's on Netflix. If you got Netflix, watch it. Watch it with subtitles. So the movie is Tollywood from southern India, but it was translated for northern India for the audience in Bollywood audience, which is a bigger audience. So the movie, the way I watched it, it was already translated, the audio. So it might take you off a little bit the mouth, but still, it's not going to take you off because you're still going to have to read some subtitles in your language. So choose the English or whatever. I guess there's more. But it's going to be in a foreign language, and it's an awesome movie. It's a bromance story. It's about best friends, about a kidnapping of a girl and best friends, and the British Empire taking over India in the early 1900s. Beautiful, awesome movie. Triple R. No, it's RRR. Shout out to those people, man. Impressive shit. Just leave the disbelief outside. You're gonna see a lot of things that doesn't agree with the physics. You just don't agree with physics on the earth. You say you gotta catch a motorcycle mid-air, swinging around and throw it to people. Oh yeah, we're gonna put that in the movie. Oh, we want you to punch a tiger and grab the tiger and throw it to a bunch of people so the tiger can attack the other people. We're gonna put that in the movie. Just do it. We're gonna throw a guy in a multitude of 1,000 people, and we're gonna have that guy win the quest that he had. Why did he have to go into the big crowd and come back alive? We're gonna put that in the movie. It's a fascinating action movie, bro. Beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I'm saying Jose JG out.